problems today is that we are afraid to have others challenge our mindset, and therefore we avoid topics that can lead to challenging conversations. At a young age, we're told not to talk about anything that is remotely divisive, but without having challenging conversations, how do you know that what you're saying is your truth and not just something you were raised to believe? Having conversations is how we learn. It's important to be able to see the other sides of things in order to form an opinion and choose what's best for you. Let's say you were raised to shower with all your clothes on. You could go throughout life thinking that is the best way to get clean, and if you never meet anyone brave enough to talk about hygiene, then you may never know that there is a better way. There's no reason to be afraid of differences. Limiting yourself to certain topics can render yourself unable to talk to friends, coworkers, or even family. To avoid challenging conversations is the same as to keep your mind trapped in a little box. Open your box and start having more civic conversations.
Civility. It's an American thing. From AmericanThing.org.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And have a most excellent New Year.
Excellent.
From the Zone. From the Zone.
It's Christmas.
This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, this is a news update on the Zone. The Bryan Firefighters Union's being given more time to negotiate a new contract. City Manager Keene Register tells WTAW News that the New Year's Eve deadline's been extended by 30 days. It's after Register rejected a proposal submitted on behalf of the union's 145 members that would have, among other things, paid off-duty firefighters while conducting union business and eliminating the city's no-tolerance drug and alcohol policy while firefighters are at work. City of Bryan getting an additional $900,000 in its general fund. It's after the City Council during this month's meeting approved without public comment to sell a vacant BTU building on South Main across from Sale Park. College Station Property Group, which paid $1,000 above the asking price, intends to develop a retail business, possibly a restaurant. Building became vacant when BTU moved its meter shop to its building on Fountain Avenue. Public comments were made at this month's College Station ISD school board meeting from two members of the Consolidated High School Athletics Booster Club. Both were dissatisfied with the lack of action by board members and administrators on addressing athletic facilities. Wendy Latendry says CSISD voters need to hear that as often as they hear the board and administration talk about expanding College Station High School.
I am asking for you to be the champion for Consol and to present a plan to the voters in 2023 to address the inequities.
By state law, board members are not allowed to respond to remarks from the members of the Consolidated Tiger Club. Two inmates in the Brazos County Juvenile Detention Center were moved to the adult jail on Christmas Eve. It's after a security officer in juvenile detention was assaulted. According to the arrest report from the sheriff's office, video confirmed one of the inmates picking up the officer and slamming him to the floor, resulting in a knee injury. 17-year-old Patrick Tennell Jr. of Bryan arrested for assaulting a public servant. 18-year-old Mike Epperson of College Station charged with harassment. Both are also being held for state juvenile detention authorities. That's a news update on the Zone.
As a real estate agent in the Brazos Valley, we have a few questions for you. Do you desire to grow your business? Are you passionate about exceeding client expectations? Would you rather work with a local company backed by Compass, the largest independent brokerage in America? What are you waiting for? Lone Star Realty Group, a strong local brand with instant recognition, awaits your move. Contact William Sears at LoneStarBCS.com. Your success is just a click away. Lone Star Realty. Experience, integrity, results. An equal opportunity employer.
Are you active duty military, a teacher, or first responder in the Brazos Valley? Listen close. Local wedding professionals are teaming up to share their love and appreciation for you through the 5th Annual American Heroes Dream Wedding Giveaway. How? An all-inclusive wedding, from invitations to the honeymoon and everything in between. Registration opens January 1st, 2023 at AmericanHeroesWedding.com. For more info and list of vendors, visit AmericanHeroesWedding.com or call 979-822-8368.
Good morning. I'm Chris Dustroff with your Aggie Sports Minute on the Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click on hillcosupply.com. It hasn't been easy going for Joni Taylor in her first season as the head coach for Texas A&M women's basketball. The Aggies have been decimated by injury this year and have limped out to a 5-5 record. Taylor on how her team has handled the adversity.
That's part of growth and that's part of maturity, and that's why we talk about, how are we measuring our success and making sure that that it's not always going to be in a win and loss column for us this year. So it's us focusing on the things that we're looking to improve on daily on both ends of the floor and using those metrics to determine if we're getting better or not, because it may not show up in the win column.
Things certainly won't get easier for the Maroon and White tonight when it opens SEC play at top-ranked South Carolina. Coach on taking on the number one team in the country. You
want to know where you are, go play the best, and that's what we're going to have in front of us tomorrow night. They defend at a really high level. They're really good and spread you out. They've got, great talent. Obviously, she returns all of her starters except for one and then made additions to her roster with some talented freshmen, and so we're going to get challenged defensively. So we're going to find out, how much better we've gotten on both ends of the ball.
We'll see what the Aggies can do tonight when they match up with the Lady Gamecocks at 6 o'clock. Broadcast is right here on the Zone. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On the Zone, I'm Chris Dusterhoff.
The college football bowl season on the Zone is brought to you by Hungry Howie's. You can listen into the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, Citrus, Cotton, and so much more, all on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, all on ESPN Radio. The bowl season, the most wonderful season of them all, on the Zone, is brought to you by Hungry Howie's, the home of the flavored crust.
If I'm going to do this, I'll need my news team at my side.
News team, assemble!
Howdy, Aggieland. Welcome to the SEC.
Our program will be built on 4 principles in which I talk about all the time: toughness, effort, discipline, and pride.
Dang it! I'm going to have to buy that boy cream cone.
Now I'm distracted on my point. What were we talking about?
It's bullcrap. All I care about is winning. Show me the dang baby.
You do it till they do it right, and then you do it till they can't do it wrong.
Go get him. Why are you dancing around? Eat him like he's a steak.
He fits what TexAgs radio is about. He fits into what the listeners are going to want. He's a pro on every level.
It's Nuño and the crew on TexAgs Radio. Right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Hey, hit records on my demo. Did y'all boys not get the memo?
Well, good morning, everybody. Solo show, or at least for the first hour. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it is the Go Hour presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U. Welcome in. Lots to get into. So when the Aggies lost Devon Achane to the NFL, which was kind of expected when you're that caliber of player, A&M had to make a move. And that move really, I think it came, 36 hours later, was Reuben Owens flipping from Louisville to Texas A&M. Big move right there, right? That was a good one. So they lose Jalen Jones, and I don't want to say unexpectedly, but you kind of didn't I guess it wasn't unexpectedly. You didn't expect to lose Jalen Jones, but you knew it was a possibility. And they rebounded and added Tony Grimes. Good move. Now they miss out on Anthony Hill a couple years in a row of missing out. They missed on the top linebacker in high school. Mason Cobb, you miss out on him. He's going to USC. So there are still some questions when it comes to linebacker. And then there's been talk of Anaya Smith going into the NFL, right? Potentially going into the draft after his lower leg injury this past season, where, by the way, he was leading your team in all these offensive categories, right? Leading receiver before he went down. But let's play the what-if game for a moment. What if? Why did my voice do that? What if Anaya Smith decides to come back? Think about that. We talk about these additions from the portal. And again, there's other names out there, but that's the first one that comes to mind. What if? Because he hasn't decided yet. What if he does decide to come back? Now you're adding one of the best wide receivers in the country, in my opinion, right? To a team that has a lot of retention when it comes to the offensive side. The naysayers will be like, your offense was terrible, bro. And they'll use the word bro. And my response would be, yeah, but the players are there, and they're going to tinker with it, and things are going to be better. It is, a couple days away from the new year. I'm allowed to be optimistic. The offense is going to be better. It can't be worse. And we've already gone through the scenario. If they're the 60th best offense in the country, what their record would be. They're going to be better than that, right? They're just going to be. So if you're able to somehow entice Anaya Smith to stay, now you're looking at that transfer portal and all these things you could be adding, because you do need to add another receiver, and you're like, I feel much better about that spot. So a wiser, hopefully healthier offensive line with guys coming back. I'm going to assume and hope that Layden Robinson's coming back, but I don't know. Hasn't been decided yet, right? I saw he was working out with Danny Arnold at Plex in Houston recently, so he did that last offseason as well, and this offseason before that. So you've got that. So you got a more experienced offensive line. We thought it was going to be one of the strengths of the team this past year. It wasn't, but they will be better. Okay? A hopeful full season of Connor Wegman. And you know the stats that he had this year, the year that he had, right? Getting Connor Wegman back. We're playing the what-if game, but there's no what-if. Connor's coming back, right? A wide receiver core that includes Evan Stewart, standout freshman wide receiver, Moose Muhammad, dude is a baller, Noah Thomas, who I think is we talked to Chris Taylor about him yesterday. I think he's a guy they should have used more last season, but they didn't, and they will. And maybe Anias. Maybe. I'm going to say the maybe for right now. And by the way, a room full of promise in your running back room. A lot of promise. Now, you got to play. You got to show me what you can do at the SEC level for me to go all in. But I'm all in on the optimism when it comes to that room with Reuben Owens, Le'Veon Moss, and Amari Daniels. So, and then you got all that, right? And then you have potentially, or not potentially, you should have a new offensive philosophy coordinator, yada, yada, yada. The offense could look significantly better. And I'm throwing in those pieces because that's still with what I expect to see more moves in the transfer portal. Hope they add another offensive lineman. Give you some depth, maybe some veteran leadership. Maybe they do add a wide receiver. If Anias comes back, that might be satisfied. But maybe they do add another wide receiver. Quarterback room you're happy with. I mean, Max Johnson, Marcel Reed, like you're good there behind Connor. So now the offense, again, playing the what-if optimism game, is significantly better. Let's not forget that Connor Wegman didn't throw an interception this year. He had a couple of almost interceptions, right? But typically when those happen, it was there was the one in the Ole Miss game where he threw that Ole Miss thought they ended the game with an interception, but he threw it in a place that the only way you come down with that ball is out of bounds, and it wasn't a pick, right? But really one of the big issues beyond the offensive line early on was the turnovers, and Haynes had quite a few of those. So let's just play that scenario out for a minute, if you can, because Billy had a somewhat of a cryptic post yesterday that, we'll see where some of these guys are considering the NFL when the dust settles. And when I think of those guys, and Nick, you can jump in here, but it looks like Edge Cooper's staying, right? When I think about NFL guys who could potentially stay, I think of Layden Robinson, and I think it'd be smart for him to stay. And I think of Anaya Smith.
Yeah, and Anaya Smith would be big time. Like you said, it would kind of satisfy that position in the transfer portal. I don't have the inside info, but I feel like if Anias does decide to come back, maybe you take one guy just for added depth, but you got Anias, Evan, Moose, and Noah. That's a pretty solid 4 guys right there. Plus, I don't think you've mentioned, if you did, I'm sorry, but the tight end room, man, that's going to be another position that is in a really, really good spot, especially with Donovan Green leading the way.
Yep.
It's going to be the receiving core is in a good spot if Ainias does decide to come back. And I'll throw this one at you, David. I saw this pop up on the YouTube chat. Do you think Ainias is waiting to see who the OC hire is?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if that's his only decision. Maybe he's rehabbing and talking to NFL agents and trying to get information. Like that, there's 1,000 things. But when you ask that question about the OC, this is what I'll say. Look, I'm a little worried because it's Christmas break, and Billy has brought up on this show that, when, the offense for the most part has stayed intact, right? But when kids go home, outside influences get in their heads, and, but as of right now, when you look at the actual transfers out of Texas A&M, a huge portion of them have been on the defensive side, right? The ones on the offensive side, well, Haynes King, you understood. Chase Lane, you understood. Who am I missing here?
Devin Price.
Devin Price,
yeah,
Chris
DP.
Marshall, but again, with him.
Chris Marshall wasn't even on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, for the most part, your offensive guys, without knowing who the OC is, have stayed, whatever reason that is. If that's because they believe there's still work to do, they believe in Jimbo, or is NIL, whatever. So far, guys have stayed around. So, and if I'm Ainias Smith, there's two ways to look at it. One way is, how much better can I make my stock, right? How much better can I really make my stock by coming back to the Aggies? This is where I'm going to be. I'm going to be a third, fourth round kind of guy. I can't really improve that. That's one way of thinking about it, and I don't want to get injured again and then ruin my chances of going to the NFL. That's one school of thought. The other school of thought is, can't probably do at the combine what I know I can do. I can come back to Texas A&M, rehab with this facility, get ready for the season next year, make some NIL dollars, which might be better than what I would make in the NFL potentially. If you go undrafted, you know what I'm saying? I can maybe have a special type of season to where A&M wins 11 games, 10 games. And again, these are all hypothetical optimism guy. All these things happen, and now all of a sudden, I've enhanced my draft status. Those are the ways to look at it. Layden Robinson as well. He said during a press conference, a couple months back, that he didn't think he was playing to his level. Well, next year, if this offensive line is mean, right, the Maroon Goons, and they get after it, and he has the kind of year he expects, now all of a sudden he goes back into those conversations of early draft picks. So those are all things that I think are in play. So, again, it's the end of the year. We got a long time to break things down. But as of today, Ainias Smith and Layden Robinson, and I'm sure there's others, have not announced that they're going pro. The ones that have announced that they're going to the NFL, I understand. Devon A-Chain, I want you to come back, but I get it. Potentially a late first-round pick, second-round pick, maybe third, right? We'll see how things shake out there. Who am I missing? Antonio Johnson. I get it. I kind of expected it all year long, as I expected Ainias Smith. Jalen Jones, I wanted him to come back, but I get it. I get him all. And I would get Ainias and Layden. I understand, but now, with so much that I don't like about NIL and so much I don't like about this transfer era that we're in, one of the beauties is those guys who are on the fence now have to really sit and think about it for a few minutes. And to me, that is a special thing to talk about. Hey, let's quickly talk a little bit about the games yesterday. Begin with Lane Kiffin. I saw somebody tweet recently, an Ole Miss person, with all these Aggies in my mention, shows how much our program has grown. We're in your heads. No, you're not. And it means our program's really arrived. No, you haven't. I think you've lost, 5? Is it 5 in a row? Is that right, Nick?
I think
5
so,
or
yeah.
6, something like
that. It was
that.
5 or 6, I believe.
Exactly. They started, 7-0, and then, or could be wrong about that. But yeah.
5 of their last 6 games.
There you go.
Okay. 5 of their last 6 games. So, no, it doesn't mean your program's arrived. And I have a lot of respect for Lane Kiffin as an offensive mind. I do. And I think he's good for college football when he's not talking about Texas A&M. When I say good for, it's fun to have a bad guy, right? It's fun to have a guy who just says the things that he says. There's a part of it that I enjoy the entertainment value of it. when it comes to my school and talking about it the way he has done and the bone he has to pick with Jimbo, I don't like it. I don't like him at all. It's changed my opinion of him. Some stuff that our program has done, and, I get it. Sometimes we become a talking point. I get that part, but he took it too far. And, here's a tweet from Unnecessary Roughness. It says, Lane Kiffin lost 5 of 6 games, and Ole Miss gave him $9 million a year for it. Think about that. Not much of that is out there as much as it should be, because we heard a lot about Jimbo. Well, let's talk about Lane Kiffin for a moment, right? So they lose the Texas Bowl yesterday, 42-25, okay? And not that I wasn't surprised. SEC teams, when they go to bowl games that don't really matter, especially a team that was at 7-0, as you said, Nick, a moment ago, that expect to play for bigger things, I'm not surprised by it. And I wasn't surprised by what the cameras captured yesterday. But I'm going to take you back. A&M is playing Ole Miss, Kyle Field, this season. And the Aggies had legit injuries. Didn't we lose a couple guys for the season that game? At least one, right? And Lane got mad at Bryce Anderson for what he thought was faking an injury. Let's show you that replay here for a moment. I think we have that queued up.
Until they're illegal. Well, yeah. Then it was
so there's Lane barking and saying words that I can't say to Bryce Anderson. And he's telling him to go back down, yada, yada, yada. Okay. He was upset that the Aggies were getting injured in that game. Let's not forget that a season prior, he had done the same thing many times. So what happened yesterday in the game against Texas Tech? Roll the tape if you don't mind. Guy on the right. Oh, no,
I don't know.
He's got shot in the knee. Right all of a sudden he goes down.
Until that moment.
Typical. And by the way, it's gamesmanship. I don't like it, but don't complain about it when you do it. Don't complain about somebody eating a Big Mac when you had one earlier that morning for breakfast. I saw you, Nick. So that's the bottom line. Don't be that hypocrite. And I think it was Bryce Foster who tweeted, hypocrite? And that was, I'm going to internalize as a direct shot to Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, Cade has it pulled up right now as Bryce Foster. He tweeted, hypocrite, ? So, yeah.
Yep. So, good. I'm glad you lost. Sorry. I usually, it's funny. I typically root for SEC teams in bowl games because I like seeing that record of SEC dominance. But I'm sorry, the personalities get in the way and storylines get in the way, and I'm glad Ole Miss lost. I got to say that I was kind of hoping that Arkansas would lose. I don't know why. I don't know. Sam Pittman he's a nice guy. I don't know. But those fans right before that game and over the last year, they just got on my nerves. But by the way, he's coming back next season. KJ Jefferson is, and he was great yesterday. So they win 55-53 in the Liberty Bowl. They were up by 25 in the third quarter, but Kansas comes roaring back. But KJ Jefferson in that game, 287 yards passing, 2 touchdowns in the air, 135 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Is that good, Nick?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns. Pretty good. You know that the Kansas quarterback.
I was about to say, you can't bring this game up and not mention what he did. His stat line was pretty wild, too.
544 yards. I think he threw for 4 touchdowns. I don't have the stats in front of me. I just wrote down 544.
5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. If you want to be a part of the discussion this morning, you can do that at 979-693-1150. That is our hotline. That is also the A and B text line. Call them up or text us up on the A and B text line, 979-693-1150. A and B, a College Station branch of the Amarillo National Bank. Good Texas Banking, the website, AandB.com. We go to the News and Social Center. Kay Nagley.
Good morning, David. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. It's a little lonely in here. OB's not cracking jokes or anything, so.
No, we gave OB a vacation day, so he's allowed to enjoy a little family time. That dude, I'll give him this. So when I chose my days off for this holiday season, I was like, OB, what days you're taking off? He's like, I don't know. Like, you can take some time off, dude. He's like, I don't know, man. We got a press conference on this day. I'll just work. OB, take some time off. I don't know. Hey, OB, it's Christmas. Yeah, but there's a press conference. There wasn't one, but if there was, OB would be working it. All right, Kay, I cut you off. Sorry.
No, you're all good. So first off, Or only one thing today, the Texas A&M women's basketball team is set to begin SEC play on the road at number 1 South Carolina at 6 p.m. on Thursday at Colonial Life Arena. Texas A&M is number 34 in scoring defense in the country, only allowing 55 points per game against their opponents. South Carolina is number 1 in this category, giving up just 43.8 points per contest through their first 12 games. So defense will be on full display as the Aggies try to take down the reigning national champions.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Let's go get it. The Aggies have been, the Lady Aggies have definitely been decimated by injury, and they've had, seven ladies, I should say, available for a couple of weeks. Go ahead.
No, I'm all done. Yeah, I think they'll have 8 active for this game, so it's going to be a tough one.
Absolutely. Let me give you a rundown of what we got on the program. We're going to do some Aggie Players of the Year. Nick's going to ask me a couple guys. I'm going to just give you my reasoning for it. It's the end of the year. We talk about it. You guys can be a part of the conversation on the text line. 8:35, Chris Gordy was at the Texas Bowl last night. We'll talk to him. And then at 9 o'clock, Billy's calling in at 9:05. Aaron Torres, 9:35. Pounding the Rock. Norma G. State Bank's favorite segment with Logan and Tap at 10:05. And then the fan show. So we're going to be busy for the remainder of the show. And by the way, I'll tell you on the other side, who's hosting the show? Who's hosting the show tomorrow? You'll like to hear that. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Right now we're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet. So yesterday I had somebody reach out to me about their experience at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, and I said, well, let me talk to my folks out there. And they're going to make things right, guys. So whenever you deal with Caldwell Country Chevrolet, they're gonna make sure it's right. So if you have a customer service need, if you have a service need, they have complimentary pickup. They're going to come to you and they're going to take care of you. That's what they strive to do the best. Everything that they do, they strive to be the best. And I talked to Zach Hester just yesterday. Love that dude. He takes these things so important, and he wants to make sure that your car buying experience or whatever car service situation you might have, you have a very pleasant experience and one that you want to return over and over. They are so good at what they do. And when it comes to deals, that is the place to go. Go to CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com and check it out. They always put the new deals when the month starts. So here in a couple days, you'll be able to see all the brand new deals. Check out what they have right now, compare the two, and get the best one for you. It's about a 15-minute drive. Brian and Caldwell, short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on a lot and do business with Zach and the fellas there at Caldwell Country. It is Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Need a new passport or to renew your current passport? The Study Abroad Programs Office at Texas A&M is a U.S. passport acceptance facility. Walk-in times and appointments are available. For more information, visit studyabroad.tamu.edu. Gulf Coast Regional Blood Center needs 1,000 donations every day of the year to serve patients in our community. Make your blood donation appointment by going online to giveblood.org. Find out more about current and upcoming events and exhibitions at the University Art Galleries in the Memorial Student Center. Go online to uart.tamu.edu. Help the Brazos Valley Food Bank bring hope to the table. Donate online at bvfb.org. The bowl season on the Zone is brought to you by Hungry Howie's. The college football semifinal, national championship game, and more can be heard on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Christmas in the Park is now at College Station Stephen C. Beachy Central Park. Every night through New Year's, enjoy the 1 million lights that bring Central Park to life. Remember to keep your radio tuned to Christmas 97.3 while enjoying this festive and seasonal favorite. Visit cstx.gov/Christmas for all the Christmas in the Park details, including parking, shuttles, and the full event schedule. That's cstx.gov/Christmas.
I'm hungry.
I need a drink.
I'm ready to relax. Then there's just one place to go, the station on 29th.
Of course, they got barbecue, burgers, a full bar, and beer, including craft beer.
I love that place, and it's family and dog friendly with a relaxing patio with games and a dog park.
It's also home to the Big Dog Food Truck, which is ready for public and private events and catering.
So it's settled. We can satisfy all of our cravings at the station on East 29th Street in Bryan.
Gotta be connected with The Zone. Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at The Zone 1150. Like us on Facebook at The Zone 1150. Programming alerts, prize updates, scores from games all across Bryan Broadcasting, contest news, and more. Connect with us and always be in the know. Can't remember what team is playing on what station? When are they giving away what? And when is the coach on the show? Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Zone 1150. And be sure to like us on Facebook at Zone 1150. And always be in the know.
I remember it all very well. Looking back, it was the summer I turned 18. We lived in a one-room rundown shack on the outskirts of New Orleans.
Who dis? Come on, Nick, you're my guy.
To be honest, I'm not much of like a classic country guy. I don't even want to guess because I'm gonna get absolutely smoked.
Reba, bro, how do you not know that?
Okay, that wasn't gonna be my guess.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't say anything.
How did you not know?
Because I don't listen to much classic country, and
you got to be more cultured like me.
Yeah,
all right?
I know.
Take it all in.
I know you're the country music expert.
I am. Welcome in, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's go back to the News and Social Center. Kay Nagley's got a couple text messages for us.
Yes, John and Caldwell says, if you watched the Duke game, you saw a completely different culture and interaction between players and coaches. Few, if transfers are leaving, what a difference from Jimbo's circus.
I can't compare the two situations, guys. Just can't. John, I appreciate your text, but I can't compare the two situations. Different caliber player decides to go to Duke. I think he has done an amazing job, and he needs to be, and he is building a great culture. All but what you said is correct. I think when a team goes 5-7, you're going to lose people. When you have a bunch of 5 stars that expect to start on every play and don't, things happen. And sometimes just the chemistry isn't right. So I went through Jimbo's resume yesterday. This was a terrible year, and he's got to fix it right now. No doubt. But let's not act like this guy hasn't won 10 games more than most coaches in college football, right? Outside of like Nick and Kirby Smart, right? Like this guy has got a resume. And up until this season, we felt like we were ascending. And it was a big fall. It's going to take a while to get back. But I'm not ready to say that the culture here is not good because as all the offensive issues that they haven't really lost much on that side. Okay, we got one more.
We do. PG Ag in King Oaks is asking, should there be a public outcry over Lane Kiffin's contract?
Yeah. Or no, right? I don't be a hypocrite. Like, if you're going to get mad at Jimbo, why not get mad at Lane, who hasn't accomplished a fourth of what Jimbo has? There's that. There is that. When you lose 5 of 6, you deserve a little bit of the scrutiny, no doubt about that. Let's go back to Nick. Let's go through some of these postseason awards football-wise here in a few minutes.
Yeah, so Aggie Players of the Year, I'll go ahead and start off with, who do you think the best offensive player of the year was?
Well, by the way, all of you can text the A&B text line at 979-693-1150. Tell me what you think if I'm wrong, but nobody's going to disagree with me on most of these. It's Devon Achane. It can't be anybody else. Like, as much as I liked Moose's performance, Connor's performance, who else? Evan Stewart. Like, there's a lot of names you can throw out that I really liked. Is Devon Achane. The dude was incredible. 1,102 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns, 196 carries. Finished his career with 2,376 rushing yards, 21 touchdowns, 544 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns receiving. Dude was incredible. He was the one bright spot on the offense pretty much all season.
Yeah, I was about to say he was the most consistent guy game in and game out. And I guess behind him you could probably say Evan Stewart, but he missed a few games. So definitely Achane throughout the entire season, was the best and the most productive offensive player.
All right, next one.
Next one, we got the best defensive player, other side of the ball.
Look, there's probably a little bit more of an argument here, but I don't think much. I think it's Antonio Johnson. He made that much of a difference, especially when teams tried to run. They were able to run on the Aggies even when he was out there. But he was a difference maker. Antonio Johnson, potentially a first-round pick, 164 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 7 pass deflections, 4 fumbles, 2 sacks, a pick. He also helped the Aggies lead them in the nation in passing yards allowed at 156 and 15 touchdowns through the air. Antonio Johnson, to me, there's no argument. He is your best defensive player in the past year. Nick, agree?
Yeah, it's going to be somebody in the secondary because I guess they had so much attrition in the front 7 or so. So I would have either said Antonio or maybe even Jalen Jones. I don't know if his stat sheet, is filled up like Antonio's, but that's usually a good thing for a corner. That means they're not throwing at him, and that means he's doing his job. So
here's a hard part to swallow, though. Both are going to the NFL. Yeah, your two best players are going to the NFL. Most improved player time, Nick, I think Moose Muhammad, and look, it came at the expense of Anias going down. We wish we never saw that, right? It would have been great to see both of them out there at the same time. But Moose, 37 catches, 594 yards, 4 touchdowns, but his highlights and his impact was felt the second half of the season, and the way he came back from Sleevegate was, to me, phenomenal. To me, he was your most improved player. Agree?
Absolutely.
All right, what's next?
Next one is the top newcomer.
So you can take this many different directions. You can say Bryce Anderson. I mean, that dude was awesome. You can say a lot of the freshmen, right? You can certainly say Evan Stewart. But I'm going to pick Connor Wegman because of what it means to this offense and what it means to this team, what it means to the future, and really his production. To me, Connor Wegman was your top newcomer. There's a lot of other guys that you can throw in there, but he gave you hope immediately, and he lived up to that hope and to that hype, I should say. He was phenomenal. To me, he was your top newcomer, again, for what it meant to this offense, which was struggling, and what it means to the future.
I'd go with Evan Stewart on that one, just because he made some big plays, and he's an explosive receiver, and I feel like A&M's kind of lacked that the past couple of years. So, Anias obviously has been the one, but multiple explosive receivers, and I think Evan has brought that to the team. But the next one for you, toughest player.
To me, this one was easy. I know he had a lot of, not hate, but like people were disappointed with the way Haynes King played this year. But you can't take away his toughness. And you could see him, what was it, the Auburn game where he was hurting so much and he was out there, and he was tough, man. And look, I wish things would have worked out better for him. But that dude was a warrior. Had some turnovers, had some issues, not running the ball as much as I would want in those open spaces. But that guy was a warrior. And when you needed him out there, which was at the UMass game, like he just, all right, I shouldn't be out here, but I'm going to be out here. That dude was as tough as they come.
Yep, you could say A-Chain too, because he at the end of the year, he was kind of battling through some injuries there, but he was pretty impressive as well. And last one for you, David. Who is the team MVP?
Well, to me, it's Devon A-Chain. I didn't want to give him every single award. He probably could have outside of top newcomer, but Devon was just that important to this team. And I know the offense wasn't good, and how can you have – but that guy was – without Devon A-Chain, this is like a 3-win team. Devon A-Chain, without a doubt, is the team MVP. And again, when you top offensive player, top defensive player, it's a matter of how you see things. But he was such a difference maker, and he was the reason you beat LSU, right? Like, a lot of other things happened, but he was unstoppable in that LSU game. So I'm going Devon A-Chain. Agree?
Absolutely.
All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we're going to talk to Chris Gordy. He's from Locked On SEC, also iHeartRadio in Houston. Get his thoughts on the Texas Bowl last night and just things happening in SEC football. Right now, we're talking Fargo's Pit Barbecue. So they're going to be closed for a little bit. It's all right. Come back after the new year. Go check them out. They're so delicious out there. If you haven't been to that Bryan location, you're missing out, folks. It's 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. They're open Tuesdays through Saturday. Again, they're closed this week, but you want to go check it out without a doubt. 979-778-3662 is the phone number. They're one of the top 50 barbecue joints in the world. That's according to Texas Monthly. And if you haven't been, check out the sauce, check out the food, check out the proteins. Just check it all out. It's so darn good. They have a secret. It's not only the sauce, but that is certainly one of their secrets there. at Fargo's, and they sell out early on their specials, so make sure you call ahead and get hooked up. They've been around for 22 years, football weekends, office parties, weddings, anniversaries, funerals, dinners, any gathering or celebration or family tradition. It is Fargo's, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the best barbecue in town. Be sure to say howdy to Alan, Belender, or Maurice.
He's got the moves with the wit of Larry David.
What are you doing here?
Olin Buchanan, mornings at 8 on TexAgs Radio, here on The Zone.
Education is imperative, but sometimes education comes with a price tag. How can you give your child the instruction they need without putting a strain on your income? Visit halfpricebrasses.com. Halfpricebrasses.com works with schools around the area to provide tuition for families at half the normal cost. These offers are exclusive to us, and the number of vouchers is limited. It's our desire to provide your family with excellent educational value. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kinder Music, and Renner Academy. Go to halfpricebrasses.com.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
When we started Intercon in early 1991, we were well aware that we would be competing with some companies that use unscrupulous techniques to make a quick sale, such as bait and switch, or 40% off if you commit today, or misleading, incomplete quotes. Intercon's practice is to be completely honest and encourage prospective customers to talk to our former customers. We've encouraged customers to get multiple quotes. We are confident and proud of our value proposition for windows, glass, and solar screens. We never want anyone to rush into a decision they will regret in the future. Just remember, warranties are only as good as the people who provide them and are servicing the area when situations arise. This is our home and only marketplace, and we will protect our home turf. You've probably heard the saying, the buck stop here, and that is with me, Brad Beard, president and co-owner of Intercon LLC.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
VeraBank is open and we are excited to serve you in College Station. Hi, this is Erica Archer, Treasury Management Officer at VeraBank, and I specialize in helping businesses run their day-to-day operations more efficiently, saving you valuable time. Our team's job is to make yours easier. So give us a call or come by and see us off of Highway 6. At VeraBank, you have a team of genuine bankers on your side, and you can bank on it.
Visit verabank.com today. That's VERA bank.com. VeraBank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
We're here with Jackson Rollo from Rollo Insurance. And Jackson, you guys have been around for a long time. You're the very best at what you do. But I ask you, why Rollo Insurance?
Well, we've been growing recently with over 45 offices in multiple states. But we haven't lost who we are. We're still super focused on being hyper-local and involved in the communities in which you're going to find a Rollo Insurance office. And we offer products like home, auto, life, health, and business insurance from some of the top carriers in our industry.
You name it, they do it. Visit RolloInsurance.com.
Hi, popular sports talk host Chip Howard. While my family and I are enjoying the holiday season, I know there's some of you that are jealous. It always crops up during my time away. But as I've said before, I take a lot of vacation because I get a lot of vacation. While I'm away, please spend money with my sponsors like Bullcrap, Acme Glass, Dent Magic, and AAA Overhead Door Company. See you in 2023 from 4 to 6 on The Zone.
All right, welcome back in. A little Oasis for you. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner Jewelers. In the Rollo Insurance Studio, it is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I got to admit, I'm not used to seeing this new background for Chris Gordy. I don't know how long he's had this little blue background and all the bobbleheads, but I'm feeling it. Good morning, Chris. How are you, sir?
What's up, David? Yeah, you normally catch me at the studio. This is my home studio here. So, yeah, you're getting a good glimpse into the world of the collection of a million bobbleheads.
Yeah, man, it's a good look. By the way, Locked On SEC, you can catch Chris Gordy in Houston on Sports 790, part of the iHeart family. So let's talk a little bit about the Bulls. You were at the Texas Bowl yesterday, right?
Yeah, I was, and man, that was a butt whooping for Ole Miss. Did not expect to see them get their butts kicked in the trenches like they did up front, both offensive line and defensive line. And congrats to Texas Tech, man. Joey McGuire gets that big fat contract and felt like he needed to go out there and prove a point. And Lane Kiffin, I keep going back to it, man. It happened. It's happened so many times these last couple of years in the SEC. This is big boy football. Going for it on fourth down, every fourth down you can. Sometimes you got to take the points. Sometimes you got to kick the field goal or punt. And it's to Lane's detriment, man. For this team that was once number 7 in the country, 7-1, to go and lose for your last 5, whatever it is, to finish out the season. That really is leaves a bad taste in your mouth if you're an Ole Miss fan. And with all the flirtations with Auburn this offseason and everything else, man, he's going to have to do a lot to win back over that fan base, because they didn't have the best signing day. They lost a couple recruits. So, you finish in the 30s with your signing class. You're going to have to go hit the transfer portal again to rebuild this roster. But, man, that was ugly last night.
Well, and also from an A&M perspective, there's a little bit of laughing going on because of how much of a hypocrite Lane is. He's been known to have guys fake injuries before. He got mad at A&M for what we think is legit injuries, but let's say they were faking it, whatever. Yesterday, you saw it happen again.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's again, he's even talked about it, and other coaches have talked about it. That I don't know what the answer is. Like, the only thing I can think is if somebody falls to the ground and it looks like it's a fake injury, like, could you make a rule where that guy has to be out the whole rest of that drive? Like, would that be fair to say? I mean, it sucks if you're a running back and you cramped up and you want to come back in, but I don't know how you make a policy to combat that. But you're right. I mean, we've seen Lane do that time and time again to slow down up-tempo teams, and yet he'll do it with his offense. He wants to go up-tempo, and he gets mad when somebody else falls to the ground. So, look, if you're an Aggie fan, I'll be honest with you, David. On Christmas, was able to catch up with some family friends who are Aggies, and having some tough conversations about how rough this season has gone. But I'm more bullish and optimistic about the Aggies this offseason. I do think people are throwing in the towel on Jimbo, and I'm going, whoa, don't write them off just yet. Whereas teams like Ole Miss have been able to point at the Aggies and laugh. Well, man, the way you finish your season, Ole Miss, you got nothing to laugh about. So, this will be an interesting offseason over there in Oxford.
So I had an interesting conversation. I brought this up on the show yesterday with my brother, who, was talking about Lane, being like, man, why can't we have a guy like Lane? He's seems to be trending in the right direction. And I understand the perception of that out there because of how bad the season went for A&M. But then I went through Jimbo's resume, right? And the amount of 10-win seasons he's had. The national championship. Oh, but that was with Bobby Bowden's players. No, it wasn't. And by the way, Bobby Bowden was struggling towards the end of his run. So that's different. And yes, this year it felt terrible, right? They went 5-7. It was a disaster. But when you look at the totality of his career and the kind of recruiter that he still is, by the way, to be able to recruit this class after how things were going this year, I still think he's got to get it right this upcoming year. But there's no reason to jump off the train yet.
No, and I was worried, with all the problems throughout this season, we know what A&M's warts were and what the issues were. And, I think most people agreed as the season went along, look, it's probably time for Jimbo to at least get another voice in there. Not saying he's got to give up full play calling and full control of the offense, but get somebody else in here with some new, fresh ideas and have a real OC. And that's no offense to Daryl Dickey, but somebody who could come in and bring some new, fresh ideas. And the win against LSU, I thought, was dangerous from a standpoint of, let's not act like everything was solved here. Let's not act like everything is honky-dory and we don't still need to make changes. And so I liked what Jimbo said last week in his presser, where he said, man, I got so much on my plate now, it's kind of basically saying like, yeah, we're going to bring in another person and I might give up play calling duties, whatever. But I do think they do need to do that. I think you need some fresh ideas in there. But look, there are some pieces here. There's a foundation. Yes, you lose a lot of the pieces from the historic recruiting class and all that, but you figured out the most important question, David. You got your quarterback. Connor Wegman appears to be the best guy that he's had in College Station yet. And it's no offense to Kellen Mond or any of those other guys. I think the sky's the limit for Wegman as he continues to develop and get better. So you got the toughest part figured out. Now you got to build around him. I know that defense, it seems like they're only going to get better with these recruiting pieces that they brought in. I know Hicks is probably going to start day one on that D-line. Got to retool the offensive line. That was obviously not good this year, but I'm excited. I think Ruben Owens is going to, be right in the mix starting day one at running back. So When I start hearing people say, "Oh, this is doomed" and all this, I start saying, "Look, it was bad this year at A&M. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't mean next year is going to be bad or the year after is going to be bad. I think this thing's going to turn around very quickly."
Well, and let's talk about that offensive line for a moment because, yeah, they were bad. They were. But how much of those guys had very little experience, right? And you lose your starting center for the year. I think if they keep the line as is, if Layden Robinson decides to come back, right? Ruben Fothery continues to grow. Bryce Foster is healthy. Trey Zune, all these guys, if they come back, they have to be better. I'm saying it out loud like it's a foregone conclusion, but I think experience alone on the offensive line becomes better because talent-wise, they're as talented as they've ever been.
Yeah, and I think Basantis and Shanahan are two really talented recruits that they're bringing in who I think could push for playing time. We'll see what they do, throughout the summer and into fall camp. So you're right. And again, like what does whoever the new OC is going to be, what kind of concepts do they bring in? Is it getting the ball out quick, where, you don't have to have that dominant offensive line up front and you can kind of combat that. I always go back to 2019, Joe Burrow, that offensive line won best O-line of the year. And they were not by any means the best offensive line in college football. Joe Burrow made them look good because he got rid of the ball so quickly and they ran the ball well out in space with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and those other pieces. So, I'm really curious to see who they're going to get here. I know there's been some rumblings. What about the USC wide receivers coach and all these different pieces here in the last couple of weeks. So whoever that guy is going to be, I think it's going to be interesting to see his ideas mesh with Jimbo's and see how different this offense looks next year, because again, they've got weapons everywhere. And I just felt like this year was so frustrating. Like, just get the playmakers the ball. And you saw it finally kind of come together in that LSU game. And it was like, God, why couldn't they play like this all year? This team would have been right there in the mix.
Kayshon Boutte, kind of take me through that timeline, because what was it, a week or two ago, we're hearing he's coming back. Yesterday, he's not playing in the bowl game. They don't say why. And then we find out he's going to the NFL. Kind of take me through the timeline and the emotions.
Yeah, I think this is for the best. The only thing I would caution kids is, like, if you're still wavering, don't make a full social media graphic announcing I'm coming back, only to 2 weeks later go, I decide I'm going to the draft. Like, it's okay to wait. No one was forcing you to make an announcement or, hey guys, I'm coming back. Like, you can wait and mull your decisions. I've heard a couple things. I mean, one, he butted heads with Brian Kelly from day one. Brian Kelly is a guy who demands excellence. He came into a program where there were a lot of kids struggling with grades and academics and stuff. And Brian Kelly said, no, you're going to get your degree here and we're going to find you a major and you're going to get good grades. And he even talked about the other day, they want 3.0 and higher from kids. And that was not the standard at LSU before Brian Kelly got there. And so I think that was part of it. I think, there's a big lawyer in Baton Rouge who's paying NIL deals, and Boutte was one of the kids that was getting some of that money. And I think ultimately what happened, though, David, was they sat down and looked. This is supposed to be one of the weakest wide receiver draft classes in the NFL draft in several years. I think Boutte looked at it and said, I need to come out now. Like, if I go to the combine and my pro day and I impress, I'm going to be a first-round pick. Like, as much as I'd like to come back to LSU and maybe work on that chemistry with Jaden Daniels and all this, LSU is going to be fine. Malik Neighbors was their number one receiver this year. He'll be their number one receiver again next year. I don't think the loss of Boutte is that big. Again, everybody was expecting him to go, but I think ultimately that was the ultimate decision. Was he looked at it and said, I'm better than all these guys coming out in this draft class. I got to go.
All right, I got about a minute left. This came up on the show yesterday. I just want to get your perspective because you do cover the entire SEC. If you had to vote 1, 2, and 3 for Coach of the Year in the SEC, how would your voting go?
Man, it's tough. Josh Heupel, I still think I would put number one, just with what expectations, what he was able to do at Tennessee, beat Alabama. You get that monkey off your back. I know the Hendon Hooker injury sideline things. I would have Heupel number one. I go back and forth on Kirby and Brian Kelly at 2. I think what Kirby was able to do, go undefeated, win a national championship, and then go undefeated again through the SEC. We cannot glance over that like that's nothing. But I would probably put Brian Kelly number 2, Kirby 3, because of what he was able to do at LSU with all the turnover and all that. To win the SEC West in his first year, I thought was very impressive. So Heupel 1, Kelly 2, Kirby 3.
I had Brian is number 3. I actually had Kirby number 1 because of the way the season went for them. The not unexpected playoff, because people expected that, but undefeated, and they didn't lose a step. So I had him number 1. I had Heupel number 2. Could have easily been number 1. But the reason I had Brian Kelly number 3 was he lost to both of those coaches, and he also lost to Jimbo at the end of the season when, with a lot on the line still. So that's why he slid to 3. But he could have easily been 1, 2, or 3, especially throughout most of the season.
Yeah, I don't think you could argue with any of those, really. But, again, I'm so excited to see what a lot of these guys are going to do as the years go along here, because we know Saban, gosh, it doesn't feel like he's not going to be here much longer. Like the exit's got to be coming. And, man, they're going to throw parties from College Station to Gainesville, Florida, because the SEC will absolutely be wide open once that guy gets out.
Gordy, we appreciate you, man. Happy New Year. Talk to you soon, all right?
All right, thanks, David.
Thank you, brother. Chris Gordy there, Locked On SEC. Good stuff. When we come back, that's Bullcrap next on TexAgs Radio.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Residents in Bryan, Wixon Valley, Curtin, and unincorporated areas of Brazos County can now text non-life-threatening emergencies to 979-361-3888. The Please Be Seated campaign urges drivers who spot another motorist riding around with unrestrained children in the vehicle to report it online at brazosvalleyinjuryprevention.tamu.edu. United Way of the Brazos Valley is seeking volunteer drivers for its Ride to Health service. Drive residents to healthcare appointments and pharmacies. Find more information at uwbv.org/volunteer. Submit your nonprofit event by email to news@wtaw.com. The bowl season on The Zone is brought to you by Hungry Howie's. The cotton, orange, sugar, rose, peach, fiesta, and more can all be heard on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Are you active duty military, a teacher, or first responder in the Brazos Valley? Listen close. Local wedding professionals are teaming up to share their love and appreciation for you through the 5th Annual American Heroes Dream Wedding Giveaway. How? An all-inclusive wedding. From invitations to the honeymoon and everything in between. Registration opens January 1st, 2023 at AmericanHeroesWedding.com. For more info and list of vendors, visit AmericanHeroesWedding.com or call 979-822-8368.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Presented by Polaris Fund Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country. And Aggie Land is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Polaris Fund Center, where you can get a $500 rebate on any 450 or 570 Model A TV. Or $2,000 cash back on a Polaris XP1000. Polaris Fund Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays from 2 to 4 on The Zone.
Saludos! TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. It is now time for That's Bullcrap, presented by Tom Line Plumbing. For service you can trust, consider Tom Line Plumbing. A great friend of Stephen McGee, longtime trusted plumber in and around the Brazos Valley. Check out the website, tomlineplumbing.com. So it's kind of a combination of That's Bullcrap and not, and I don't even know who's the bullcrap. And Nick, you can chime in here. But I don't know if you saw the exchange between Mike Gundy and a reporter when Oklahoma State lost to Wisconsin. I think it was 24-17. But in that, the ending of the press conference, there was a reporter. Let's see if I have his name. Marshall Scott of Pistols Guys. Okay. He asked whether he anticipated Gundy making any changes to the staff, and Gundy kind of went after him. And he said something to the effect of, do you think I would tell you if I was making changes? Then why would you ask? Well, I might have to cut you out. Don't be such a blah, blah, blah. He was a little mean.
I did not see that.
Yeah,
no.
it's on Twitter. You can check out the whole exchange. I'm not mad about the game. I'm mad about the ignorance. He talked about those are people's lives. You're asking me about yada, yada, yada. The reporter, Marshall, was like, look, I'm just trying to do my job. And he is just trying to do his job. There's times in that kind of setting, your boss tells you have to ask something, even though you know it might get contentious. But I also think the timing of it right after they lost a bowl game might not be the best time. It might be your only time to talk to him. So he then put a statement on Twitter saying, hey, everyone, by now you might have seen an exchange I had with Gundy. I understand his unwillingness to speak on the topic in time. I hope he understands I was just trying to do my job. I've had time to reflect on the exchange, and while I think it was a fair question, I wonder if it was the correct time or place. That's something I need to ponder more about. I'll continue to learn through this. So I think that was a good exchange. I like that ending. It's just hard when you're doing this gig, man. All right, that's Bullcrap. When we come back, Billy Liucci next on TexAgs.
Start your sports day with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Or just tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150. WC Tractors, your local award-winning Kubota and New Holland dealer. Call them with your questions at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Or check them out online at WCTractor.com. Rise and shine. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max from ESPN Radio. Powered by WC Tractor. Here on The Zone.
Vehicle accidents are stressful enough. You don't need someone showing up at the scene trying to pressure you into letting them tow away your vehicle. Call your roadside assistance provider or insurance company for towing company suggestions, or consult with police on the scene. And always have the price and terms in writing before you let them hook it up. If you suspect fraud, call us at 1-800-TEL-NICB or visit www.nicb.org. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
Like us on Facebook at Zone 1150. Follow us on Twitter at Zone 1150. Get connected now. With the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. This is KZNE College Station, Bryan.
From WTAW, this is a news update on the Zone. The Bryan Firefighters Union's being given more time to negotiate a new contract. City Manager Keene Register tells WTAW News that the New Year's Eve deadline's been extended by 30 days. It's after Register rejected a proposal submitted on behalf of the union's 145 members that would have, among other things, paid off-duty firefighters while conducting union business and eliminating the city's no-tolerance drug and alcohol policy while firefighters are at work. City of Bryan getting an additional $900,000 in its general fund. It's after the City Council during this month's meeting approved without public comment to sell a vacant BTU building on South Main across from Sale Park. College Station Property Group, which paid $1,000 above the asking price, intends to develop a retail business, possibly a restaurant. Building became vacant when BTU moved its meter shop to its building on Fountain Avenue. Public comments were made at this month's College Station ISD School Board meeting from two members of the Consolidated High School Athletics Booster Club. Both were dissatisfied with the lack of action by board members and administrators on addressing athletic facilities. Wendy Latendry says CSISD voters need to hear that as often as they hear the board and administration talk about expanding College Station High School.
I am asking for you to be the champion for Consol and to present a plan to the voters in 2023 to address the inequities.
By state law, board members are not allowed to respond to remarks from the members of the Consolidated Tiger Club. Two inmates in the Brazos County Juvenile Detention Center were moved to the adult jail on Christmas Eve. It's after a security officer in juvenile detention was assaulted. According to the arrest report from the sheriff's office, video confirmed one of the inmates picking up the officer and slamming him to the floor, resulting in a knee injury. 17-year-old Patrick Tennell Jr. of Bryan arrested for assaulting a public servant. 18-year-old Mike Epperson of College Station charged with harassment. Both are also being held for state juvenile detention authorities. That's a news update on the Zone.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
Replacement windows, like other major purchase items, will at some time in the future need service, whether warranty or not. If you purchase your replacement windows from Intercon, you'll just phone our local number and we'll take care of your issue in a prompt and professional way. Every one of Intercon's personnel who answer the phone will know how to involve the right people to find a solution. With Intercon, you won't spend hours manipulating through an automated phone tree. If you consider purchasing your replacement windows from another window source, a good exercise would be to call the service department of the other company. You might come away thinking it'd be better to put your trust in a local company with a solid and well-established reputation. Ask your friends and colleagues about the customer experience they had with Intercon. We are proud of our track record and our commitment to long-term customer service. Trust Intercon, a family-owned local business, with all of your window needs.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
Good morning. I'm Chris Dustroff with your Aggie Sports Minute on the Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click on hillcosupply.com. It hasn't been easy going for Joni Taylor in her first season as the head coach for Texas A&M women's basketball. The Aggies have been decimated by injury this year and have limped out to a 5-5 record. Taylor on how her team has handled the adversity.
That's part of growth and that's part of maturity, and that's why we talk about, how are we measuring our success and making sure that that it's not always going to be in a win and loss column for us this year. So it's us focusing on the things that we're looking to improve on daily on both ends of the floor and using those metrics to determine if we're getting better or not, because it may not show up in the win column.
Things certainly won't get easier for the Maroon and White tonight when it opens SEC play at top-ranked South Carolina. Coach on taking on the number one team in the country.
You want to know where you are, go play the best, and that's what we're going to have in front of us tomorrow night. They defended a really high level. They're really good and spread you out. They've got, great talent. Obviously, she returns all of her starters except for one and then made additions to her roster with some talented freshmen. And so we're going to get challenged defensively. So we're going to find out, how much better we've gotten on both ends of the ball.
We'll see what the Aggies can do tonight when they match up with the Lady Gamecocks at 6 o'clock. Broadcast is right here on the Zone. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On the Zone, I'm Chris Dusterhoff.
Grab your first cup of coffee weekday mornings with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor, right here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Plus, online at RadioAggieland.com. WC Tractor, your local award-winning Kubota in New Holland. Do you have questions? Look them up online at WCTractor.com. That's WCTractor.com. You can also call them at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor.
Sky tissue that I wish you saw. Sarcastic Mr. Know It All. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you, 'cause with the birds I'll share.
We're back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in. It is hour number 2, and we've got a lot to get into here before my last day on the show. I don't know if Billy knows this. I know I told him about 6 weeks ago, but I'm going to make sure you know. Billy, good morning. How are you, sir?
What don't I know?
Do you know who's hosting the show tomorrow?
No, I don't.
We talked about it, but it's been a while. You need to be listening to make sure we don't have to hit the panic button, but Nick Savage and Tomas Romo are hosting tomorrow.
I did know that.
Yeah.
I did know that.
So they're making their debut on TexAgs tomorrow. I'm pumped for them.
That's exciting. The way you presented it, I thought you were going to hit me with some kind of wild surprise.
No. I just wanted to make it dramatic, even though it wasn't.
What's up, David?
Nothing much. I just kind of wanted to. I haven't talked to you on the air. I saw you yesterday, and actually we didn't even get to speak yesterday. You were so busy. But I wanted to kind of just pick your brain a little bit about what you saw yesterday from the Bulls.
Yesterday in the Bulls?
Just overall, sure.
Fun game. I kind of wanted to see Oregon lose. I would have enjoyed that. Not a fan of that, setup up there. They're trying to get momentum. they'll love to recruit Texas down here. You saw how they well, I think they got a little more credit than they should have for their close. It was strong, but as per usual, when Oregon does it, it gets all this run. A&M, when they had the number 1 class, it was one thing. Anybody that did that was going to get it. But there's been a couple of similarly strong A&M finishes that didn't get nearly as much hype as the great uniforms and the Fighting Phil Knights got, and the cute mascot up there. But I don't like seeing them get momentum just because of just the landscape and recruiting and how tough it already is. They will recruit Texas. You've got some guys on that staff from A&M that'll, that have ties down here that will continue to try to recruit here. So that was one. North Carolina, and I would have liked to see Mac Brown get that one. He probably should have. And then, there's that point in the game, Nuño, where it's always, when you've got that late lead and you're driving and in control of that game, and you can either score that touchdown or get that field goal or get that one more first down and run out all of that clock, you better get it. Because I know I'm exaggerating the numbers, but it feels like 9 times out of 10, if you don't push that past the touchdown on that scoring opportunity, that team that gets the ball essentially last is going to go down, score, and win the game. And one of those times it didn't happen was last year, A&M against Ole Miss. And speaking of Ole Miss, I mean, what a finish for Lane Kiffin this year. What a finish. Just got worse and worse and worse for him. It's unfortunate that the Aggies were what? They were 8-5, right? They finished 8-5. I think they lost 5 of their last 6 games. I'm pretty sure they lost 5 of their last 6. Awful finish in Oxford. And in the midst of that, people talk about paying Jimbo, paying him the $9 million. What has Lane Kiffin done? What are they going to start saying about that contract that they already should be saying? The guy's done, this year, in the midst of losing 5 out of 6 to end the season, he gets bumped up to $9 million because Auburn came after him. And just once again embarrasses, not that university is embarrassed by his actions. Hell, they weren't embarrassed by Hugh Freeze's actions, but he is an embarrassment. And the fact that the media gave him a free pass after what he did during that A&M game, the way he talked to A&M players, just his comments afterwards, just, as usual, Lane Kiffin's a giant child. Joey McGuire is a class act, always has been. Tim DeRuyter the same way. It's rare that you'll catch me rooting for any Big 12 team, much less Texas Tech. But I found myself rooting hard for them to run up the score last night on Lane Kiffin. And forget SEC pride in that instance. To see that guy go down, it's a beautiful thing. And he can go tweet about it, and then he's crying after the game that someone spit on his player and used a racial slur, and his player was crying. You just don't know what to believe with Lane Kiffin.
Billy, I wanted to reflect on 2022. And not just football, but this was an interesting year from, I guess the signing class from the 23 class obviously is part of the story, but everything from Schloss's run there in the College World Series and Aggie baseball to the NIT run by Buzz and the way this season has started off to Aggie football starting, the Jimbo feud with Saban, the season itself, and then the finish against LSU. Just a lot of stuff happened over the last 12 months. Just kind of wanted you to reflect on it and what it meant to your career.
Well, you named everything. I mean, by the way, how about take a look at Kansas's offensive coordinator? You talked about yesterday's game. What they've been able to do there has been pretty remarkable in the last year or two. Really, year and a half, I guess. But as far as this year, look, man, it's always fun. Some years it's less fun than others. Football doesn't define everything, but it is this year-round sort of build-up to it, and it is the biggest of all of it. It's the most grandiose. It's what's the most covered. It's what we spend the most time on. So when a football season goes the way this A&M season did, and in particular when it falls off the rails so quickly, you wait all year for it. You're a preseason number 6 team, and in the second week you lose it home to App State. And by mid-season it's over. There was not a whole lot fun about it. But covering the team and stuff, you learn something new every year. And this year was interesting. Feelings got hurt, feelings got smoothed over. You just go about it, you learn something new every year. It happens every time in different ways. And you just learn how to navigate it. And you still manage to enjoy your job, and you maintain relationships, and you keep the job fun. And I had fun with it. Sometimes, as Nuño, the intensity, the battle of it kind of gives you a little extra juice there. And it was like an intense season with people being upset on the boards and the fans, and it was, all your conversations around town or what the heck. Sometimes that you'd rather it be the alternative, but there's some energy in that too, and there's some fun in that too. And look, the season in football stunk, but I had about 5 weeks there that, whether it was on personal, just hey, that was a fun weekend, or fun football, that I really enjoyed. I mean, obviously LSU, no doubt about it. Season opener, all that excitement. Miami weekend, before you knew it was going to be a wash season, was great. That win at home. And then you go out and beat Arkansas the way you did in Jerry World. And that Alabama game was a whole hell of a lot of unexpected excitement and fun in Tuscaloosa, being right there with you and I standing down there. We're right there for a final play from 2 yards out to knock off number 1 in Tuscaloosa. So there were some high points to an otherwise low season as far as covering it. But, yeah, it started to drag, the press conferences and just not a lot being said. It started to drag, but it's still, if you look at the whole calendar sports year, I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen Texas A&M sign a class like they signed. So that run-up was incredible. Then the Jimbo Nick Saban feud was like nothing I'd ever covered, not to mention the fact that I was playing in Chicago when the press conference was announced that it was happening, and then when it started happening. So that was wild. There was that. There was the signing class. So a lot of attention on A&M nationally that normally isn't there those times of year, to unprecedented levels. Basketball was a blast. Whether it's all of us watching the Auburn game in the office in the SEC tournament, or whether it was just following those games, you guys get to go to New York. I thought Aggie basketball was an absolute blast. It hasn't been like that yet to start this year, but you just never know as they enter SEC play. But it certainly was last year. It was a wild ride there at the finish and fun. But, man, more than anything else, I would say that recruiting cycle and that run for Aggie baseball were two things I've never gotten to experience to that level in terms of covering a number 1 class in the country, and one that stormed into that ranking where they're just getting everyone. And then baseball, just getting to know Flosh and his staff throughout their first off season here, and really start to call those guys friends and root for them. And I was kind of like, man, wouldn't it be great if they could exceed expectations, get into a regional, have a better than expected year. The next thing you know, you're beating TCU, the nemesis. You're rolling, you're winning the SEC West, you're beating TCU. In that epic, I say 3 games, it was just 2, but that epic super regional against Louisville with 2 just dramatic games there. And then you go to Omaha, which was special enough. And then you not only beat Texas, but you win another game and beat Notre Dame. So, to win 2 and essentially go to the Final Four going back and forth to Omaha like I did, it's just like, I just never thought you'd get to do that. And I like to think there'll be a lot more trips for the Aggies to Omaha under Slosh and company. But that first one, I don't know. Outside of winning it, I don't know if there'll be a more fun ride than that one. That was pretty special, pretty epic.
Yeah, it was very special. Billy, you mentioned yesterday on the boards that there's some wars out there that the Aggie staff is still trying to wage out there. How significant could that be for next year's roster?
You talking about transfer portal or?
Well, I mean, transfer portal I think is part of it, and maybe hopefully keep it on some guys.
I know what I forgot what you were asking. I was trying to think. Yeah, no, there's a couple guys still out there that are considering a return, and if you could get them back, I mean, imagine. Just for starters, imagine a receiving core with and I've been skeptical on Anias's return, but I've also said I think all of that is going to depend on his injury. Like a couple of these guys, like what can you do for the pro scouts right now, or are you not going to be able to show them anything, and then your draft stock is absolutely going to go way, way down for no fault of your own. Whereas you can fix that. But imagine Anias Smith, Moose Muhammad, and Evan Stewart, and Noah Thomas as your top four receivers. And I also think the Aggies are going very hard to add at least one via the portal because all that depth is gone now. All that depth is gone. You could have an absolutely filthy receiving core. And I'll tell you this. If Anias came back, remember the Aggies going into the season as of today with only 3 scholarship tailbacks. There was debate back early in the first couple games of 2020 to who was A&M's most explosive back. And there was a guy named Isaiah Spiller and a converted wide receiver named Anias Smith. I'm not saying he'd be a tailback, but I'm saying imagine having that security blanket there too. And I do think they probably need to go get a portal running back as well because I just don't think you can enter the season with 3. But it was between that, getting a couple guys back for one more year unexpectedly, and again the portal. They've got to go find guys in the portal. But you could look at this roster as it is today and make a pretty damn good starting lineup. Now the big question would be, how good can the O-line be? I think that's one thing, Nuño, that no one really talked about after LSU. No one really talked about it because there's so much excitement over beating them and the game A-Chain had and the plays Moose Muhammad was making. Connor Wigman showing, just proving to be an absolute winner out there. But what we didn't talk about a lot was how good that offensive line played. And they're all back. Every one of them is back. And that was without Bryce Foster. If he comes back, he's the old Bryce Foster. Mark Naboo started, I think, a couple of games in there. They're really high on him as a youngster. Dewberry finished the season starting as a true freshman. That O-line humiliated LSU. 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, run it right at you. Power football. Keep guys off Wigman, do a good job avoiding sacks. We talk about the play calling, Wigman, Moose, A-Chain. That O-line was spectacular in that one. And I'm not saying they're going to be spectacular next year, but let's not just blow it off and say that was an anomaly. That might have been a game where the offensive line finally started to come together and finally started to show what they were capable of. And I'm not saying they come out and play like that. I'm not saying they come out and play like that every game this year, but that was one of those games where you're probably like, man, I wish we could keep playing. I wish these guys could keep going. So I think you could make an impressive starting lineup with what's here and with the wild card kind of being the real X factor being that O-line and saying, did they turn the corner as individuals, as a unit against LSU? But you still can make it so much better with some portal additions, and they have to. Because Marshall Harris, Edgerrin Cooper, or an improved Chris Russell and Edgerrin Cooper, okay, it's good. This is solid starters at linebacker. But if you could add another starter in there and say, okay, the best two of these four can win out, you'd feel a hell of a lot better. Okay, you got Edgerrin Cooper and this guy from wherever, the Big Ten that started for 2 years. Now we feel really good. Same thing at corner. Okay, we got Tony Grimes, we like him a lot. You've got Tyreek Chappelle, he's quietly one of their best defenders. Now behind that, there's not much of anything. You're going to have a couple true freshmen. You're going to have Bobby Taylor, who hasn't played, and you're going to have Deuce Harmon, who's had a very hard time staying healthy. That's it. So you better have probably two more corners. You'll feel great. But as far as the starting lineup, man, you could put a really nice one out there. Now it's time to upgrade the starting group where you can, maybe a here or there type thing. But really, more than anything else, it's depth through the portal. And they're going to need it because, as you saw this year, I know it was an unusual amount of injuries. So I'd say throw out the Florida game, but you're still going to need a lot of depth that has gone out in the way of the portal.
Billy, last thing for you. Let's talk Christian Kirk for a moment. He just won the 2002 annual Good Guy Award presented by the Pro Football Writers Association for the Jacksonville chapter.
They gave the 02 award?
Sorry, 2022. Yeah.
I was going to say, he must have been a really good 6-year-old, and it probably wouldn't surprise me with Christian.
Well, it is given to just good guys, constantly available and helpful and insightful. Just you got to cover him closely. Your thoughts on just Christian and the year he had really at Jacksonville. He was huge.
Well, he's been great over there. A lot of people kind of raise an eyebrow about how much money they paid him. He's been worth every penny. He's really, gelled with Trevor Lawrence. They've been playing better and better football. But Christian, it doesn't surprise me he won that award. I'm happy for him, though. He deserves it. But, of all the people that have come through here, there are very few. When you talk about a 5-star signing, okay, an out-of-state 5-star signee that from day one just meshed with everyone, fit in the program, played his whole career, has been a great dude from the minute he stepped in the building, great with the media, really fit in well at the university. I know a lot of people around A&M that are great friends with Christian. I still consider him a friend. We stay in touch loosely. If I texted him now, he'd respond, and he's one of those guys, and that's nothing special about me. He's one of those dudes. And, but to be on top of that, a great player, too. It's been pretty awesome, and a really good family. I've always enjoyed getting to visit with his parents. So Christian, just a gem, man. One of those guys that when you recruit these 5-star type kids, these national recruits, or even a 2-star guy, you want them to be like Christian. If you get more guys like that in your program, let's not forget, you want to talk about what he's made of. This is the guy that's going to leave after his junior year, and Kevin Sumlin gets fired, and you got an interim coach there. You're playing in a nothing bowl against Wake Forest, so the kids don't, they typically don't get excited when there's not a big name on the other side. He's going in the draft. I remember talking to Jimbo after the interview with Christian, where they do these exit interviews, and Christian told him he wasn't coming back, but Jimbo couldn't have been more impressed, And that's always when a guy delivers bad news to you, and not that I wasn't expected, just the way he handled it, Jimbo couldn't have been more impressed with it. But to go out in that game, get hurt. Remember, it looked like an ugly injury, and you're like, oh my God, that's it. What a terrible sports tragedy for this guy to come play and suffer some kind of major injury in this meaningless bowl because he just wanted to help his team. But to do that, not only come back from the injury, but go back into that game, finish that game, and have some kind of just absolutely absurd effort. I forget what he caught. It was 9 or 12 catches for 180 yards, something ridiculous. That's Christian Kirk in a nutshell. And he did that. He did that for his teammates. He did that for Texas A&M. He did it, not many guys do that in this day and age, and he did.
Billy, thank you very much. Happy New Year. I'll see you later.
All right, Formula. See you.
Later. Billy Liucci there on the hotline, executive editor, co-owner of TexAgs. Right now we're talking about the Association of Former Students. Let's do the math. They've been around for 140 plus years. That's right. And what they do is they give back. That is what the association was built on, is giving back to Aggies all around the world. And they've done that because that's just in their DNA. But if you wonder, like a lot of things you do in life, you got to wonder, what's the why behind it? Are you just doing it to do it, or do you have a why? And their why is enriching all the Aggies all around the world, helping them in many different ways, and which is why they've created IamTheWhy.com. It's a chance for you. Tell your story. Go on there, upload your story, shoot a quick video, talk about your experiences at A&M so others can feel your impact. And while you're there, start surfing and watching all these empowering stories of Aggies around the globe. That's right. Aggies all over the world have been impacted by the Association of Former Students. You may not know that they've impacted you, but they certainly have. And it goes a long, long way. Check it out, IamTheWhy.com. See the why, feel the why, hear the why. IamTheWhy.com. It's the Association of Former Students.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Need a new passport or to renew your current passport? The Study Abroad Programs Office at Texas A&M is a U.S. passport acceptance facility. Walk-in times and appointments are available. For more information, visit studyabroad.tamu.edu. Gulf Coast Regional Blood Center needs 1,000 donations every day of the year to serve patients in our community. Make your blood donation appointment by going online to giveblood.org. Find out more about current and upcoming events and exhibitions at the University Art Galleries in the Memorial Student Center. Go online to uart.tamu.edu. Help the Brazos Valley Food Bank bring hope to the table. Donate online at bvfb.org. The bowl season on The Zone is brought to you by Hungry Howie's. The college football semifinal, national championship game, and more can be heard on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
Replacement windows, like other major purchase items, will at some time in the future need service, whether warranty or not. If you purchase your replacement windows from Intercon, you'll just phone our local number and we'll take care of your issue in a prompt and professional way. Every one of Intercon's personnel who answer the phone will know how to involve the right people to find a solution. With Intercon, you won't spend hours manipulating through an automated phone tree. If you consider purchasing your replacement windows from another window source, a good exercise would be to call the service department of the other company. You might come away thinking it'd be better to put your trust in a local company with a solid and well-established reputation. Ask your friends and colleagues about the customer experience they had with Intercon. We are proud of our track record and our commitment to long-term customer service. Trust Intercon, a family-owned local business, with all of your window needs.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
The College Football Bowl season on The Zone is brought to you by Hungry Howie's, the home of the flavored crust. You can hear the national championship game, the college football semifinals. You can hear the New Year's Six and more. All the bowls from ESPN Radio right here on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Listen in thanks to Hungry Howie's, the home of the flavored crust. It's the bowl season, the most wonderful season of the year.
All right, quick segment here. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in to the program. Do want to read a couple messages on here. Nick, you can join me on this. This is on YouTube. C. Rogers says, David, do you really want to compare A&M to Ole Miss? Ole Miss is in a bowl game and A&M season ended a month ago. To which I responded, saying that, what did I say? I know what I should say. Basically, did I compare the two programs? I'd rather be at A&M. That's obviously, I'm an Aggie. Pick A&M first. But I compared the way Lane Kiffin handled his situation there at Ole Miss to hypocrisy, excuse me for speaking bad English. That's what I think I compared. Nick, is that what I compared?
Yeah, that's completely fair. That's exactly what you said. He just responded, too. He said, David, I get you pointing out what you saw, but you cannot prove that the player did not have a cramp. It is a real option that was a cramp.
Sure.
So, yeah, sure.
But yeah. I'll give you that.
It's fairly obvious when all the guys on the other team are, those players can tell when guys are dropping like that. It's probably not an actual injury, but
okay, I don't know.
It's gamesmanship.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. But then you can't prove that the A&M players that Lane Kiffin was barking about also. So we're doing this vicious cycle. That's the bottom line, right? Like, if he's allowed the grace to say what he wants and we can respond to that, then we can do the same thing. And by the way, there's proven video. There's video. If I need to, see Rogers, if you need me to pull up the video and put it on here, there's video in Lane Kiffin's tenure at Ole Miss that he is seen telling his players to go down. All I'm saying is, if you get mad at somebody for doing something, don't do it yourself. I don't know if A&M players were faking or not. I'm going to say they didn't. But if you think that they did, what gives you that right and not me the right to guess? I don't know. It seemed fake to me. It seemed like acting. By the way, when we watch sports, we're allowed to have opinions. It's not communist China. Are we communist China, Nick?
We aren't now.
Okay, so I'm allowed to have an opinion, correct?
That's correct.
All right, when you see an NBA player flop, do we not all say, it's fake? Come on, man, stop. Or in soccer that people hate on this show. Do we not all have an opinion? Dude's fake and he's flopping. Is that allowed? Are we allowed to have that opinion?
We are.
All right, and sometimes we watch the replay. I don't know, man, maybe he really was hit. Or he wasn't hit that hard. Same thing for this. We're making I wouldn't have brought it up at all if Lane didn't make such a showcase and an embarrassment in that A&M game. First off, you don't talk to my players. That's like talking to my kids. You don't do that. Now, you want to have a friendly conversation, but to use curse words and talk the way he did, you don't do that. So that opened the door to be critical of that action. So do I know if that player really had a real cramp or not? No. But because your coach, and I don't know if C. Rogers, maybe he's not your coach, but because Lane Kiffin brought the war, then that's the response. And that opens the door, right? Like, there's things that Jimbo has said out loud that opens the door for people to be critical of him. I get it. That's the world we live in. Am I right or wrong?
I would agree with you, yeah. I mean...
But that's the beauty. It's an opinion. Nobody's right or wrong.
Exactly.
It's just an opinion. I'm sure C. Rogers and I could enjoy a nice latte, even though I haven't had a latte in a long time. When's the last time you had a latte, Nick?
I don't drink coffee.
At all?
No. I've tried it. I tried to get into it earlier this year. Can't do it. Not a fan.
Rude.
I tried it because I drink energy drinks and I try to stop, but
the amount of chemicals,
energy drinks are just so yummy.
The amount of chemicals and damage you're doing to your body.
I know, David. You don't have to tell me. I know myself. My mother tells me that still, and yeah, so I'm trying.
By the way, you predicted this would happen, and so far only one negative comment on my shirt.
Yeah, and you thought I hinted that people would say something about it because I didn't like it. That's not true. I just said, hey, David, I know how people text. They're probably going to pick on you for your shirt.
But first off, I'm wearing a bright yellow shirt. And it was actually a good text from Eddie in Austin. Feels like I'm watching Sesame Street with that Nuño shirt. I like the shirt. I don't care if you don't like it. Because guess what? Most of you don't have any fashion sense. I don't care. You know how I know that? Because I just do. But I, in my life, let me go ahead and be very honest with you, Nick. I, in my life, have never felt like, you know what? I don't like the sweater David's wearing today. I'm going to send him a message and let him know what I don't like about it.
That's very true.
I've never done that in my life. It's not my thing to you know what? I don't like his hair. We had anchors at ABC. I got to hit a break, I know. We had anchors at ABC 13 that people wouldn't like the dresses they'd wear. And people would email and be very rude. So if you do that, you've got problems. Not the joke about Eddie's joke was funny. Certain things I get. But you said they wouldn't like the V-neck part of it, Nick. Not the yellow, right?
I never said that.
I thought you said something about the V-neck.
No, I never commented on the V-neck.
Oh, just the yellow?
Yeah, just bright yellow. Not a lot of people wear yellow, but there's no hate coming from me because I can't pull that off. But my wardrobe consists of like black, white, and like gray shirts. That's pretty much all I wear.
So your new name is Goth Nick. You're very goth.
No. Anyways.
Yeah, we're way late for Aaron Torres. Let me hit a break here. But first, let's talk about Heritage Films, Chance McClain's company. I say his name all the time because I want you to know that you can call Chance, like the owner, the founder, the CEO, whatever he is. He's the guy, right? You can call him up and talk to him. And first thing I would do is call him up and talk to him about Star Wars. He likes Star Wars. And then maybe ask him about, what was that movie he liked? Not Tron. There was one of those movies that came out like, I forget, but he likes all kinds of like Game of Thrones and like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. He loves all that stuff. You can talk to him about that, but then you talk to him about Heritage Films and like what it can do for your family. Say, I got this dad. He's got a great story. Love for his documentary to be told. Can you help us out? And Chance will kind of talk to you about the process. It's, he'll come to your house. He'll bring a crew. He'll make it big time, right? It is legit big time. And he does such great work with it. It is Heritage Films, yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. It's Heritage Films.
It's the one show in the world that talks Aggie football, Star Wars, and progressive overload at the gym. It's TexAgs Radio with David, Ole, and Billy here on the Zone.
Hi, this is Kelly Adams with Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. Our business was founded on providing a quality product with excellent customer service. We believe our best source of business is our satisfied clients. We want you to be happy. That's why we're hands-on in each project. We are on-site and available to you when you have questions. At Girard Construction, we don't just build homes, we build relationships. Let's build your dream home together. Visit us at girard-construction.com.
I'm hungry.
I need a drink.
I'm ready to relax. Then there's just one place to go, the station on 29th.
Of course, they got barbecue, burgers, a full bar, and beer, including craft beer.
I love that place, and it's family and dog friendly with a relaxing patio with games and a dog park. It's also home to the Big Dog Food Truck, which is ready for public and private events and catering.
So it's settled. We can satisfy all of our cravings at the station on East 29th Street in Bryan.
As a real estate agent in the Brazos Valley, we have a few questions for you. Do you desire to grow your business? Are you passionate about exceeding client expectations? Would you rather work with a local company backed by Compass, the largest independent brokerage in America? What are you waiting for? Lone Star Realty Group, a strong local brand with instant recognition, awaits your move. Contact William Sears at LoneStarBCS.com. Your success is just a click away. Lone Star Realty. Experience, integrity, results. An equal opportunity employer.
A half a ring of Cooper's world-famous regular or jalapeno sausage cooked to perfection cowboy style over mesquite coals, then paired with one of your favorite homemade Cooper sides, beans and barbecue sauce. That's what you get when you ask for Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue's Saw 'em Off Sausage Special, only $9.99. Experience the taste of locally Aggie-owned, nationally recognized Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue. Voted best barbecue in the Brazos Valley and proud supporter of Texas A&M Athletics.
Are you active duty military, a teacher, or first responder in the Brazos Valley? Listen close. Local wedding professionals are teaming up to share their love and appreciation for you through the 5th Annual American Heroes Dream Wedding Giveaway. How? An all-inclusive wedding, from invitations to the honeymoon and everything in between. Registration opens January 1st, 2023 at AmericanHeroesWedding.com. For more info and list of vendors, visit AmericanHeroesWedding.com or call 979-822-8368.
You can listen to Aggie football, basketball, and baseball on your Amazon Dot or Echo. Step 1, say, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Step 2, anytime you want to hear fighting Texas Aggie football, Texas A&M women's basketball, or Aggie baseball, all you have to do is say, Alexa, play Zone 1150. It's that simple to listen to your favorite A&M teams that play on the Zone with your Amazon Dot or Echo. Make sure to say one time, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Then say, Alexa, play Zone 1150.
Could use some rap at some point. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, it is now time for Around College Sports. We do that every day, or not every day, every week at this time. Presented by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces. They have a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. Let's go to the hotline. We are joined by Aaron Torres of Aaron Torres Online and Fox Sports Radio. AT, good morning to you, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good, David. How are you?
Good, man. It's been a minute since we've spoken. Everything good?
Yeah, how was your holidays?
It was nice.
Everything's good. How are you?
Just, doing good, man. Ready for
What'd you do? Where'd you go? Who'd you hang with?
Arnold.
Did you go to Miami?
No, Miami. Let's see. I went back and forth from College Station to Houston several times. Almost too much that I don't want to go back for a while. That kind of feel.
How far is the drive from Houston to College Station? Because the Final Four is in Houston this year, and there's rumors that Torres might try to drive up to College Station. Is it a crazy drive?
No, it's an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 20 minutes, depending on where you're coming from in Houston. Yeah, it's not bad.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I ask about Miami because, one, I know you spend time there. Two, I've gotten a little kerfuffle on social media, stemming from a conversation I had with Dalton Hughes in this time slot last week. And all I asked him was, how come Miami can sign the number 3 recruiting class in the country in football? We're talking football, obviously. Off of a 5-7 season, and they have boosters literally on social media bragging about how much they pay players, and everyone just, Mario Cristobal, look at Mario Cristobal, he's doing Mario Cristobal things. What a great recruiter. And or at least that's the national perception. I'm not talking about message boards. I'm not talking about what Florida State fans are saying about Miami. But then Texas A&M signs the number 1 recruiting class off an 8-4 year. The year before they were 9-1. And everyone's, there must be some secret slush fund that nobody knows about. I just, it was a question that I brought up to Dalton last week. There was no good answer. I brought it to social media. And as you can assume, social media responded about the way that you would have expected social media to.
Isn't that the way it is?
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
It's, by the way, I don't know why people get so mad at opinions, right? Like,
sure.
Like mad. Like you believe this? Like, I understand in the back and forth and like, hey, this is, but like, they will question your character, the way you look, all based on an opinion or where you grew up because of a team you like.
Yeah, it's funny. I very much, that's something we've probably talked about this, but the one thing I try not to do, I try not to attack or go after other media members for opinions. Now, if I believe they're disingenuous, if I believe they're really just trying to, whatever, then I will. But in general, I try not to. And it's for that exact reason. I'm like, my whole life is basically opinions. I host radio, I host podcasts, I write columns, whatever. So, others attack me. And I've realized a long time ago, it's just an opinion. I've never said anything that I don't believe. And so if somebody believes something that I differ with, like, it's perfectly fine. And like, we've talked about it forever. Like, if you just want to believe that there's this magic slush fund that's paying every Texas A&M player X amount of dollars, including the 3-star punter, then that's your prerogative. That's fine. I also think there's a perfectly logical explanation for last year's recruiting class. And I think there's a perfectly logical explanation for Miami's recruiting class beyond, Mario Cristobal, what a great recruiter. But that's just me. That's just here or there. That's how I feel. And like I said, it is funny how, like you said, how certain people react to certain opinions.
Yeah, no doubt about that. AT with us, Aaron Torres Online. Check out his work. Let's talk hoops for a moment because I haven't done enough of that. We'll start with A&M. How surprised are you with the start to their season, considering where they started ranked-wise and just the kind of talent coming back this year, the transfers, just the product on the court has not been what I think most people expected.
Yeah, I think I might have talked to Dalton about this last week. I'll be honest, I am very genuinely surprised, and I said it maybe to him or maybe it was to you a few weeks ago. But, I thought they were one of the 68 best teams by the end of last season. I thought they should have been in the NCAA tournament. But then, two, I know that the guys in that building really liked the group that they had coming back this season. it's not coach speak at a media conference. Like I know for a fact that people in that building really believed in the group of guys that they have, and it just hasn't clicked. And I think in the past, and we talked about, I know you and I talked about this a few weeks ago, but there were logical reasons that maybe it took Buzz a little bit longer to get going than I think a lot of people expected. The COVID year kind of wreaked havoc on everybody, but especially for a developmental program like A&M, especially that 2020 season. I guess it would have been 2021 season when when there was the winter weather that canceled a bunch of games and all that stuff. So 2021 was a weird year. You started to figure it out at the end of last year. And so the fact that they've again regressed it is one that I don't really have an answer to. And obviously I know some of the losses are more explainable than others, but to be sitting here at 7-5 as you kind of enter SEC play, I know technically they have one more out of conference game. It's just a weird deal. And the one thing I would say, and I've been on this, I don't think a lot of others have, the SEC is clearly deeper than I think a lot of people thought it was. How good is the top? How many teams are there at the top? I don't know. But when LSU beats the top 10 team at home last night, you know that they're probably a little bit further along in their rebuild post Will Wade than a lot of people thought. Obviously, Missouri smacking Kentucky last night speaks for itself. And Mississippi State is ranked, even though obviously they lost to Alabama last night. So, I think that second tier of teams now, all of a sudden, I think A&M thought in a worst-case scenario where maybe we're not Alabama or Arkansas, but we're in that next tier at 4, 5, 6. Now, all of a sudden, to scratch and claw into that next tier is probably going to be a lot tougher than a lot of people anticipated.
Talking to Aaron Torres here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Who's the best team in college basketball?
Yeah, I think it's UConn. I don't say that as an alum. They're 14-0, 13 wins by double figures all until last night against Villanova. And if you just watch them, one, they have 3-4 guys that are probably going to play in the NBA next year. 2, they really have no real significant weakness. They rebound the ball really well. They pass the ball and move the ball really well. They shoot the ball really well. And so, listen, I don't think they're a team that it's going to take, a Hercules. Like there are teams that are going to run through the regular season with only 1 or 2 losses. I don't know if this is that kind of team. But I do think they're going to be in great position to get a number 1 seed. Obviously, that would put them, if they get a number 1 seed, it would be very advantageous for them to get to the Final Four in Houston, ironically enough, because the road would go through Madison Square Garden, a home away from home, almost from UConn. So I think UConn's the best. I don't think that there's a huge gap between 1-8, 1-9. Even that Arkansas team that lost last night, they were a play or two, a referee's call away or two from winning. They're number 9 in the country. I think Arizona's pretty good. Purdue's number 1 in the polls right now. But if you're asking me who's the best team in college basketball, I would definitely say it's UConn.
Aaron, let's turn our attention now to Kentucky, a team that I'm trying to figure out because I feel like Coach Cal, he's still legit, but when they've taken on really good teams this year, they've been exposed.
Yeah, I don't even know if they're legit, honestly. They've played basically 5 Power 5 teams. They're 1-4, and the one win they had, the team they were playing was Michigan, and Michigan's starting point guard got hurt in that game. So what I would just say, man, is I feel bad. It's just a dark spot there right now because it's really kind of a culmination of 3 years, David. The 2021 COVID season was a disaster, but you could kind of write that off as COVID, as whatever. Last year, the team looks a lot better, but you have that opening round loss to a 15 seed in St. Peter's. And I'm not enough of a historian, but Kentucky fans say that's the worst loss in program history. And now to essentially have no real out-of-conference resume as you head into SEC play, you're looking at, here's the crazy part, right, and I know there's a lot of good wins to be had in the SEC, but without any significant out-of-conference wins, you're probably looking at best, a 3 or 4 seed, and then the road just gets that much tougher, and that's the bottom line, right, I know that most schools would take a 3 or 4 seed, but this is Kentucky. John Calipari's the highest paid coach in college basketball. Despite what he complained about in the summer, they have every resource and facility needed to have success at the highest level. So it's one of those, it's the weird conversation we always have in college basketball. And I think to a degree it applies to A&M as well, is that no, this isn't college football. You don't have to win every single game, every single week to reach your ultimate goal. But with every loss you take, with the longer it takes for you to get back on track, the harder it makes it to reach your ultimate goal, right? For A&M, I think there was hope of, you don't just make the NCAA tournament, but maybe you have some success once you get there. Well, you can still make the NCAA tournament, but now you're fighting to just get into that field, which makes it that much harder to get the advantageous seed, the advantageous path, and then maybe win a game or two once you get there. And so I think it's kind of the same thing for Kentucky. I'm not totally ready to give up on them just yet. That Missouri team they played is probably a little bit better than people realized. It was a hostile environment. But listen, this is SEC basketball now. You're going to go into a hostile environment everywhere you go. So they get Louisville this weekend. Louisville's down. And then really it gets going in SEC play. They play LSU early. They play at Bama. They play at Tennessee by the middle of January. If they don't turn things around really quick, it's only going to get worse. And this is just a wild, wild, wild situation that's going on in Kentucky.
AT, appreciate it, sir. Talk to you soon.
All right, David. Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Later, bro. All right, well, we'll come back more here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Residents in Bryan, Wixon Valley, Curtin, and unincorporated areas of Brazos County can now text non-life-threatening emergencies to 979-361-3888. The Please Be Seated campaign urges drivers who spot another motorist riding around with unrestrained children in the vehicle to report it online at brazosvalleyinjuryprevention.tamu.edu. United Way of the Brazos Valley is seeking volunteer drivers for its Ride to Health service. Drive residents to healthcare appointments and pharmacies. Find more information at uwbv.org/volunteer. Submit your nonprofit event by email to news@wtaw.com. The bowl season on The Zone is brought to you by Hungry Howie's. The cotton, orange, sugar, rose, peach, fiesta, and more can all be heard on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Christmas in the Park is now at College Station Stephen C. Beachy Central Park. Every night through New Year's, enjoy the 1 million lights that bring Central Park to life. Remember to keep your radio tuned to Christmas 97.3 while enjoying this festive and seasonal favorite. Visit cstx.gov/Christmas for all the Christmas in the Park details, including parking, shuttles, and the full event schedule. That's cstx.gov/Christmas.
As a real estate agent in the Brazos Valley, we have a few questions for you. Do you desire to grow your business? Are you passionate about exceeding client expectations? Would you rather work with a local company backed by Compass, the largest independent brokerage in America? What are you waiting for? Lone Star Realty Group, a strong local brand with instant recognition, awaits your move. Contact William Sears at LoneStarBCS.com. Your success is just a click away. Lone Star Realty. Experience, integrity, results. An equal opportunity employer.
Hi, popular sports talk host Chip Howard. My plan is to be back on the mic in 2023, despite so many cards and letters imploring me to stay away. I hope you have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and I really hope during this holiday season you'll spend money with Producers Cooperative, 808 Technologies, David Gardner's Jewelers, and Chicken Express. Remember, the more you spend, the longer I'm gone. See you soon here on The Zone.
All right, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Nick, this is for you. I got a text on my personal A&B text line, and this is from Philip. He says, I got a story about a healthy young guy who almost got kicked out of the Navy on the spot because he drank 2 energy drinks for breakfast, and his heart was about to explode when he was doing his annual medical medial check-in. Corpsman Navy Mech told him to go eat something and drink as much water as possible and come back.
Well, I don't drink 2 for breakfast. It's only ever 1 per day, so that's good. But yeah, I'm aware of what those things can do to you. So I'm, again, trying my best to lay off.
And now 210 on the chat says, he doesn't drink coffee. Can't trust this guy now. Don't let him host tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
See? That's what happens on this show. People
okay,
come
Tomas
at you.
can take it solo.
Oh, God, don't do that to the viewers and the listeners. Please don't do that. And then one other little thing. C. Rogers was talking about when I was mentioning about Jimbo's resume versus Lane Kiffin and stuff. I still take Jimbo's resume over a lot of coaches. Did I say he was a top 3 coach this year in the SEC? No. He's got to fix it this year. Make no mistake about it. This is, if not the most important year of his career, top 2, right? He's got to fix it. But I still look at the totality of his work, and I'll take his resume over Brian Kelly's. I'll take his Brian Kelly's had a pretty good resume, by the way. But I'll still take Jimbo's over. I'll take it over Lane Kiffin. Absolutely. I would. He won a national championship. He's had a bunch of 10-win seasons. Was it 6? Yeah, I would take Jimbo's resume. You're right. That doesn't excuse the season that they had. I don't know how hard this is to understand. I think I'm going to be mad now. Stop being a stick of butter. Talk to you in a bit.
Everything in life has rules, and the Zone has prize rules for all contesting. You can check them out at zone1150.com. You may know you can win once every 30 days. There can only be 1 winner per household per month. You have 30 days to pick up your prizes. You have to be 18 or older to win. You have to present a legal ID to claim your prize. All prizes are non-transferable and not for resale. To make sure you do know all the rules, or if you have any questions about the prize rules, make sure to visit zone1150.com. Zone1150.com.
At a time when misinformation is all too common on social media, we take great pride in bringing you the news that matters, that impacts your family, news you can trust. Local broadcast journalists bring you the facts, covering the stories breaking in our community and across the globe. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on local journalism. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Download podcast of your favorite shows, Louie, Chip, or TexAgs in the Pod Center at zone1150.com. Subscribe and have them downloaded daily for you in the Pod Center at zone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, this is a news update on the Zone. The Bryan Firefighters Union's being given more time to negotiate a new contract. City Manager Keene Register tells WTAW News that the New Year's Eve deadline's been extended by 30 days. It's after Register rejected a proposal submitted on behalf of the union's 145 members that would have, among other things, paid off-duty firefighters while conducting union business and eliminating the city's no-tolerance drug and alcohol policy while firefighters are at work. City of Bryan getting an additional $900,000 in its general fund. It's after the City Council during this month's meeting approved without public comment to sell a vacant BTU building on South Main across from Sale Park. College Station Property Group, which paid $1,000 above the asking price, intends to develop a retail business, possibly a restaurant. Building became vacant when BTU moved its meter shop to its building on Fountain Avenue. Public comments were made at this month's College Station ISD School Board meeting from 2 members of the Consolidated High School Athletics Booster Club. Both were dissatisfied with the lack of action by board members and administrators on addressing athletic facilities. Wendy Latendry says CSISD voters need to hear that as often as they hear the board and administration talk about expanding College Station High School.
I am asking for you to be the champion for Consol and to present a plan to the voters in 2023 to address the inequities.
5 state law board members are not allowed to respond to remarks from the members of the Consolidated Tiger Club. 2 inmates in the Brazos County Juvenile Detention Center were moved to the adult jail on Christmas Eve. It's after a security officer in juvenile detention was assaulted. According to the arrest report from the sheriff's office, video confirmed one of the inmates picking up the officer and slamming him to the floor, resulting in a knee injury. 17-year-old Patrick Tennell Jr. of Bryan arrested for assaulting a public servant. 18-year-old Mike Epperson of College Station charged with harassment. Both are also being held for state juvenile detention authorities. That's a news update on the Zone.
Education is imperative, but sometimes education comes with a price tag. How can you give your child the instruction they need without putting a strain on your income? Visit halfpricebrazos.com. Halfpricebrazos.com works with schools around the area to provide tuition for families at half the normal cost. These offers are exclusive to us and the number of vouchers is limited. It's our desire to provide your family with excellent educational value. Right now we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kinder Music, and Renner Academy. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
VeraBank is open and we are excited to serve you in College Station. Hi, this is Erica Archer, Treasury Management Officer at VeraBank, and I specialize in helping businesses run their day-to-day operations more efficiently, saving you valuable time. Our team's job is to make yours easier. So give us a call or come by and see us off of Highway 6. At VeraBank, you have a team of genuine bankers on your side, and you can bank on it.
Visit verabank.com today. That's VERA bank.com. VeraBank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Good morning. I'm Chris Dustroff with your Aggie Sports Minute on the Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click on hilcosupply.com. It hasn't been easy going for Joni Taylor in her first season as the head coach for Texas A&M women's basketball. The Aggies have been decimated by injury this year and have limped out to a 5-5 record. Taylor on how her team has handled the adversity.
That's part of growth and that's part of maturity, and that's why we talk about, how are we measuring our success and making sure that that it's not always going to be in a win and loss column for us this year. So it's us focusing on the things that we're looking to improve on daily on both ends of the floor and using those metrics to determine if we're getting better or not, because it may not show up in the win column.
Things certainly won't get easier for the Maroon and White tonight when it opens SEC play at top-ranked South Carolina. Coach on taking on the number one team in the country.
You want to know where you are, go play the best, and that's what we're going to have in front of us tomorrow night. They defended a really high level. They're really good and spread you out. They've got, great talent. Obviously, she returns all of her starters except for one and then made additions to her roster with some talented freshmen, and so we're going to get challenged defensively. So we're going to find out, how much better we've gotten on both ends of the ball.
We'll see what the Aggies can do tonight when they match up with the Lady Gamecocks at 6 o'clock. Broadcast is right here on the Zone. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On the Zone, I'm Chris Dusterhoff.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fun Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country, and Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fun Center sells and service Polaris ATVs, Rangers, Razors, Global Electric Cars, Buddhist, and the Polaris Slingshot. Polaris Fun Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone.
And we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for Pounding the Rock, presented by Norman G. State Bank. Norman G. State Bank, rock solid banking. We've got our dude, Tap Bent's in the house. Hello,
Dude.
Tap.
Hey, I don't think I've ever been called the dude before, man.
You're a dude, man. You're a guy. How are you?
I like it. It's good. Got to go home to New Orleans. Wasn't our best trip to New Orleans, but it was still good to see family that you hadn't seen in a few months. And
was it a driving trip, or did you have to deal with these airlines that everybody's complaining about?
We always drive. I mean, we like to have a car once we get there, and I don't want to deal with renting and everything else. It's just easier for us to drive and get going, and once we're there, we don't have to worry about anything else.
We'll have Logan here momentarily. I do want to ask you a couple of women's topics to get us started. South Carolina.
Well, I have a text in right now to find out if they're even going to be able to dress more than 7 tonight. And what a way for Joni to open up. She's not new to the SEC, but new at Texas A&M. And by the way, we'll just have you open up with the number one team in the country when you're at about your weakest that you could possibly be.
But as weak as they are, at least from a personnel standpoint, I feel like they're getting better.
Well, I feel like they're coming off of 2 highs. Even though they beat SMU. Which people probably didn't expect, and then to play so well, in that last game, and just they went in with momentum. I think a lot more momentum in the break than the men certainly did. And so, I think you're going to have players wanting to get back off that injury list going, hey, I like the way they're playing. And, and you found some surprises. I mean, KK Green's come in 40 minutes last game, and she, is just wasn't probably getting off the bench, but maybe a minute here, a minute there, and you found Money Petticord, and she did a good job, and had a great first time, and then the second time maybe realized I can't shoot the ball every time I touch it. But, I think she's also going to get a lot more confidence in the people on her bench due to it.
Yeah, no doubt about that. One of the things that has impressed me, and you've talked about it before, is she seems unflappable, if that's the right way to phrase it. Like, she recognizes where this team is and where she thinks they're going to go, and she's using this as a coachable moment and growth. Yeah, and privately she would tell you, hey, this is what I think the team is, and it was right on, she never came in with these, we're going to win the SEC championship in year one or anything else. And, I think the only thing she's fighting is the success that, Coach Blair has had throughout, his 19 years. And, and again, people didn't want to take last year as an indicator of where this program was when they finished. I think it was 4-12 in the SEC and just struggled. And, and it really was. And it's difficult. Anytime there's a transition where you're losing a coach, and we hear it all the time. How many times have you heard, they extended the coach's contract? Because the first thing in recruiting is, hey, he or she's not even going to be there next year. Why are you even looking at that school? So don't get attached to those coaches because they won't be there. And so it's difficult. But, you just see what Joni was able to convince to come with her from Georgia. There's got to be nothing but a bright future here. Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's now go to the hotline. Logan Lee is joining us here.
Well, I didn't get my earplugs.
Oh, yeah, I need to get you some here. Use these right here. There you go. Sharing earwax. Just the way we do it here at TexAgs. Logan, good morning, sir.
And that's why I'm not there, because I don't want to share earwax.
Well, if you were here, we wouldn't need headphones. Let's really put it together.
Oh, well, that's my fault then.
Yeah, that's all right, buddy. How you been?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, man. So I want to kind of continue on that conversation we had yesterday and kind of take it a different direction now that Tap's here. A&M, the men's side, have they found their identity? Like, obviously, the production isn't there just yet, but have they found this year's identity, Logan? You started off.
I don't think so. Not yet. I think they're working towards it. I think Buzz has kind of narrowed the roster down a little, but I still think that there are going to be those times where they're going to get in a tough situation and they're going to be lost for a second, and because they haven't had to do it against a good basketball team yet. And so when the SEC opponents start throwing haymakers, you're going to see them get lost for a little while. It's how can they adjust? And we've seen the beginnings of them being able to adjust in game, which we hadn't seen at the earlier part of the season. But I still don't think that we've seen what we need to be satisfied or to be content with what's on the court right now.
I agree. I don't think their identity is there at all. Certainly I'd love to see them be able to come out and start a little faster than they seem to have been doing. I did notice, and maybe it was just me, I was able to watch the game a little, last night, this morning, because I was driving back during the game. And I did see Wade Taylor was off the ball a little bit more. And I know you and I talked about that last week, Logan. That's where we'd like to see him. Not that Buzz is taking our advice, but I just think it fits that team better with him, with the ball not in his hand as much.
Yeah, and I think I would love to see Andre Gordon play a bigger role. And I don't think, and when I say a bigger role, I don't mean he needs more minutes. I think his 16 minutes to 18 minutes a game is really good for this team. I just think that he needs to be more aggressive, more assertive when he's on the court, because I really thought that he's what changed the game against Northwestern State. His tenacity on defense. He's the only one that, and I don't want to say the only one because I think Dexter Dennis has it too. He's the only one on defense that has that dog in him that is going to look his opponent in the eye and say, I'm better than you, I'm going to stop you. And that's the leadership that this team needs, especially because they don't have a lot of those vocal guys. And so if he can solidify his place and his role, I think a lot of other people fall into a much better position on this team.
and I'm glad you brought him up because that was one of my mental notes that I had is when they made the move in the first half, Andre Gordon was on the floor. And, you always say it's more important who ends the game than starts the game. And he was in for the final 8 minutes, I think, of that ball game too. But when you say you don't think minutes, there was times I thought I was hoping that they would have gone to him sooner in that first half than they did. And that's where I think, that's where Buzz has realized it's still trying to work on the rotation is when do I make the move on some of these players?
Logan, about Andre, one of the things that I have really been impressed by him is the fact that he just seems like a smart player on the floor. He was smart last year, but I feel like his vision on the floor has gotten even better.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are a number of guys who haven't taken that next step, and I feel like he's one that has grown with his role and his position and what he's been asked to do. I don't know. I like the kid. I don't think he's a 25-minute a game guy, but I think he's a instrumental part in A&M's success.
I wish I could disagree and expound longer, but I completely agree. And he just, like you said, I think the leader. I mean, and I know it's just all camera angles and stuff, but, and maybe other people are talking out there. But I just remember one time they had the camera on him, and he's out there going, warm three, and that's the defense they want to run, and I just don't always see that coming out of the other people. Yeah, they may get the sound or the signal, but are they making sure everybody else on the floor sees it or hears it?
Hey, Logan, let's talk a little bit about Henry and Tyrese together, right? That's the twosome that I didn't know. I knew they were going to be good, but those two together, especially in this past game, how big have they been for this team?
I actually didn't think that they were that big in the Northwestern State game. Then I looked at the stat sheet afterwards and like, wow, these guys dominated. And I think that's what you want from guys. You want guys to be able to dominate a game, but not have to dominate the ball. They were very efficient. I don't know. I really don't know how Henry Coleman is going to do in the SEC this year. I think his role is different from last year. They have different pieces of the puzzle, and so I'm just wondering how he fits in. Because they were pretty successful with him and Marble and Tyrese, with Wade and Andre Gordon out there. His role has changed with Marble on the floor, but does that fit against the long, athletic, quicker, more lateral moving guys in the SEC? And so that's my question with him right now. I think he can do it because he hasn't shown anything that tells me he can't do it. I just wonder how it is against the better competition.
You know what? You mentioned that you didn't think Boots dominated the ball, and I've been wanting him to dominate with, get the ball, ask for the ball. And I thought last night, especially in that second half, he came out and the team was conscious of getting him the ball and giving him a chance to operate. And then I think Henry, he had 24, but he should have had 34. I mean, that's what I think I get frustrated at is as big as he is, all of a sudden, and the guys on TV even said it, he may not be mean enough for the Southeastern Conference. And, as far as when you get to the basket, you got to finish. And they say he may not be mean enough. They go, he's a very nice guy. He's a very fundamentally sound. But is he going to be able to finish in this conference? And you kind of brought that up just a little bit too, I think.
Well, we talked about it last week. I feel like he's maybe lost some explosiveness. He's gained a lot of muscle mass. You can tell he's a lot stronger, and so he's going to be able to take those bumps and bruises in the paint, and he's going to hand out the bumps and bruises as well. But in the SEC, you have to be able to finish above the rim, and he hasn't done that consistently this year. I thought he was much more explosive last year, and he was able to do that. But this year, I haven't seen that. And so it may take him getting his shot blocked a couple of times before he realizes, okay, I can't finish this way. I need to be stronger. And you just don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but he has it in him because we saw it last year. Where is it this year?
Talking to Logan Lee on the hotline. Got Tap Bench here in studio. And, guys, when we talk about Henry and Tyrese, I want to focus on Tyrese as maybe more of a – and tell me if this is fair, because I think he's got the ability to be Batman, but he's more of a Robin, where I like him as a secondary guy who can take over when he needs to, as opposed to being the Q of this team.
You know, you put it in that regards, and I've talked about that on the women's side sometimes, but I kind of wish – I think Boots needs to be Batman, but he wants to be Robin.
There you go.
And I think Wade needs to be Robin, but wants to be Batman. So if somehow we could get those two to kind of change their mentality as they go into the game, I think we'd be better off.
Logan?
I think if A&M had a true go-to point guard, both of those guys could split time as Batman, because they just need to get the ball in the right position. Right now, they're trying to do too much. They're not natural point guards. They're not natural delegators of the ball when it comes to being in the right position. But if they had a true point guard, if they had a guy that could get them in the spot, I think both of them could be really, really good. And when I say really good, they could be outstanding at what they were meant to do for this roster.
Hey, yesterday, I think I misspoke. I know what I wanted to say, but I basically said that, you know, A&M is built, and at least this is what we thought going into the season, and really early part, that they can play down to anybody and they can play up to anybody. And I really thought about that statement, and I think they can play up and not necessarily win against anybody because they haven't really shown that side of it. But what is it going to take for them to play up to the caliber of SEC play? Because we know when they play inferior opponents, they certainly sometimes bring it down a notch too.
Go for it, Tap.
I just think, again, you hope, because you're not there, that they realize and recognize this isn't Wofford, this isn't Northwestern State. We have to get ready to play. You know, like I go back to SMU when they played them, how well they played that game. They were ready, they were focused, and they came out ready to play. You know, you hope when conference starts in two ball games, that's the mentality they bring instead of let's just get through this game so we can get to conference.
Logan?
I think it's just all about the consistency. If they can find a roster, if they know who's starting every single game, if they know who's coming in after the first media timeout, if they can figure out their consistent roles of what's needed, if Wade Taylor knows I can shoot here, here, and here, and I need to pass on this, and if Booth says I need to control the ball and I can force the action at this point, but I need to pull it back at this time. And if they can get Julius Marble some reps in the post with his back to the basket, I mean, change the tempo, change the pace. But if they can find some consistency in all of those things, their production level is going to grow immensely. Against the SEC, I'm kind of nervous. I'm more nervous about SEC play than I have been in years past. I think the SEC is better than it's been in years past, and I think the Aggies have been more inconsistent than in years past. So that's where my nerves come in about the production of this year in conference play.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more. We got Logan on the hotline, got Tap here in studio. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Need a new passport or to renew your current passport? The Study Abroad Programs Office at Texas A&M is a U.S. passport acceptance facility. Walk-in times and appointments are available. For more information, visit studyabroad.tamu.edu. Gulf Coast Regional Blood Center needs 1,000 donations every day of the year to serve patients in our community. Make your blood donation appointment by going online to giveblood.org. Find out more about current and upcoming events and exhibitions at the University Art Galleries in the Memorial Student Center. Go online to uart.tamu.edu. Help the Brazos Valley Food Bank bring hope to the table. Donate online at bvfb.org. The bowl season on the Zone is brought to you by Hungry Howie's. The college football semifinal, national championship game, and more can be heard on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon. When we started Intercon in early 1991, we were well aware that we would be competing with some companies that use unscrupulous techniques to make a quick sale, such as bait and switch, or 40% off if you commit today, or misleading incomplete quotes. Intercon's practice is to be completely honest and encourage prospective customers to talk to our former customers. We've encouraged customers to get multiple quotes. We are confident and proud of our value proposition for windows, glass, and solar screens. We never want anyone to rush into a decision they will regret in the future. Just remember, warranties are only as good as the people who provide them and are servicing the area when situations arise. This is our home and only marketplace, and we will protect our home turf. You've probably heard the saying, the buck stopped here, and that is with me, Brad Beard, president and co-owner of Intercon LLC.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
We're here with Jackson Rollo from Rollo Insurance. And Jackson, you guys have been around for a long time. You're the very best at what you do. But I ask you, why Rollo Insurance?
Well, we've been growing recently with over 45 offices in multiple states, but we haven't lost who we are. We're still super focused on being hyper-local and involved in the communities in which you're going to find a Rollo Insurance office. And we offer products like home, auto, life, health, and business insurance from some of the top carriers in our industry.
You name it, they do it. Visit RolloInsurance.com.
Start your sports day with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Or just tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150. WC Tractors, your local award-winning Kubota and New Holland dealer. Call them with your questions at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Or check them out online at WCTractor.com. Rise and shine. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max from ESPN Radio. Powered by WC Tractor. Here on The Zone.
And we're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is Pounding the Rock presented by Normandy State Bank. Rock solid banking. Let's go back to the hotline. Logan's still with us here on the program. We also got Tap Bench here in studio. Let's talk about the rotation, guys. When obviously a shorter rotation here recently, and is it going to get even shorter, or do you think they'll still experiment a little bit when SEC play starts? Logan?
I think it's going to be 7 guys that dominate anywhere from 18 to 28 minutes. But I do think that you're going to see the guys like Hayden Hefner and Manny. Those guys are going to be predominant in specific matchups, and they'll get 15 to 20 minutes a game here and there. So you may see them get 5 to 8 minutes a game, a couple games in a row, and then all of a sudden they've got a good matchup or they got a hot hand. They came in, they played well, and they're going to get 15 to 20 minutes in a game, and then might go back down to 8 minutes and then follow it back up with 18. But I do think you'll see a 7-man rotation with maybe two or three other guys. You know, a guy like Anderson Garcia, he could play well against a Tennessee or an Alabama or something like that and get 15 to 20 minutes, but then he only sees 5 or 6 minutes. But yeah, you're going to see it shortened to probably 7, maybe 8.
Yeah, I thought Anderson Garcia brought a lot of energy when he was on the floor last night or whatever the game was, I guess 2 nights ago. But, you know, going into to Christmas, you know, the break, I thought Manny Obaski was really bringing a lot of energy, and then he didn't even really get off the bench the other night. So that's a good way to put it. It's more about the matchups than it is. And again, he kind of backs up Boots in that area. So Boots was playing so well that also hurt, you know, doesn't give him as big an opportunity to get off the bench also.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But that's a big reason why Hassan Diarra left. You know, he wanted to be guaranteed 20 plus minutes, and in the Buzz system, you're not gonna get guaranteed those minutes because he does look at matchups and he says, okay, where's my strengths and weaknesses in this game? And Hassan may not have been a strength in game 1, but he may be a strength in game 2. So he may have only gotten 7 or 8 minutes in game 1, but he gets 27 minutes in game 2, and he didn't like that inconsistency, which is why he left. But I think you have guys on this team that understand that's my role, and I'm okay with it because I know I'm going to get utilized when it's my opportunity.
So, guys, offensively, they were challenged last year. I don't think they're challenged this year. They're averaging almost 75 points per game. But I still don't think the offense is the refined thing that they want to see. They're scoring enough points, but this last game, what were they? 1 of 12 from the three-point line. They're going to have to step up their three-point game, Logan, to start off SEC play, right?
Yeah, there's no question about that. But I don't think you've seen. Man, you've probably only seen a quarter of the playbook that they have. They hardly ever run set plays. I can't remember, what game was it? They came out of halftime, ran a set play for Radford, a 3 in the corner. He knocked it down, and then they went on like a 8-0 run to start the half. Things they have in their repertoire, they just haven't utilized it. I'm going to use this word again, nervous. It makes me nervous that they haven't gotten a lot of reps in those play calling, but they have it in their system and they can run it. It's just, are they going to be consistent enough and successful enough to get the job done?
And I'm going to take what you just said and elaborate on how I took it. So that nervousness is it's going to take us 3, 4, 5 games to get all that in. And then we go on that eight game run again at the end of the season. But that, because of what we've done so far, is going to be too late again.
Will it be too late, Logan? I mean, is it too late right now? Like where this team is, let's say, I mean, the number we keep throwing out there is at least 12 wins. Is that even going to be enough?
If it's the right 12 wins, yes. However, I still think they're going to need to win a game or two in the conference tournament. You never want to leave the decision up to the selection committee, and something's going to happen.
Why? They're the smartest people in the world.
Take last year, for example. So that you never want to do that. So be absolutely sure. I mean, if we're going off of what I think, my opinion, to be absolutely sure to get in, you got to win 13 games and a game or two in conference tournament.
So how unlikely is that?
At this point, that's highly unlikely.
That's why you're nervous.
I think I think if they win 11 games, they're going to have to win 2 or 3 games in the conference tournament, and I think that's plausible. But you never know. I didn't after an 8-game losing streak. Did anybody think that they were going to become the hottest team in the country and run their way through the end of conference and run their way through the conference tournament and get to the NIT championship game at Madison Square Garden last year?
Well, let me ask you this, Logan. Do you think that the people on the selection committee hold it against, or make sure they try to help A&M when it comes to selection committee after what happened last year, and then Buzz's response and everything else to it? Because we know some of those guys may have egos, and some of their egos may have been bruised.
Yeah, I think it'll be a 50-50 split. I think you're going to have some of those guys that say, hey, if he wants to call us out like that, then we're not going to put him in this year. I think you're going to have other guys that say, man, he had a point. Like they were one of the best teams, and we left them out. And while they probably still agree with their decision, they may give that 50% may give them some favor this year and push harder before it even comes down to last 4 in, last 4 out.
That is such a far away place. Like they really do have to look at one step at a time. But I like to think about perspective. But let's end with this. If the season isn't what everybody expected, they missed out on the NCAA tournament. They win 11 games in the SEC. What does that mean for the future of Aggie basketball? Logan, you begin.
It's an uphill battle. I mean, they're still recruiting right now, and Buzz has done a good job of getting the guys that he wants. Look at Rob Dockery. Look at Bryce Lindsey. They're getting guys. They're getting guys that are going to be top 75, top 50 players in the country, and it's there's no question it's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be very disappointing. You're going to have a lot of people that were a part of the fan base that jump off the bandwagon, but yeah, that's part of coaching for any coaching staff, and unfortunately, that's been the the history of Aggie basketball. You're good sometimes and you're bad other times, and you just have to keep building.
And going off of David's question, how hot is that seat this year? Is that so hot that we're looking at a new basketball coach by next year? I don't know, but
no.
Okay.
I don't think so. In my opinion, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Buzz is going to be here, and unless he decides to leave and not do anything, but I don't see that happening either. So I think you're looking at a good run through SEC tournament is my hopes, which means we're not even worrying about, hey, is it time for a coaching staff change?
Well, and I think last year you got to give them a little grace with the way they finished, and for that reason, I think things can get better this year, right? It hasn't been good in the non-conference, but pretty much every year, right, guys? You've seen it up close. They finish stronger than they start.
They do, and we talked about last year during the the 8-game losing streak. Is it going to be too much to overcome? Well, unfortunately it was, but Buzz always gets his teams just progressing throughout the season, and especially in conference. And as Logan said, they just can't put themselves too far behind. And they didn't make it easy on themselves, and it's all going to be reliant on that conference record. But they've got to do it.
Happy New Year, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
See you.
You too.
Thank you, Depp. Appreciate you, too.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right, when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we're going to do the fan show presented by Girard Construction. But right now, I need caller number one. We're going to give you a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. They're Aggie-owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership, but we'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150.
You never know who might stop by TexAgs Radio. Jimbo, Schloss, Buzz, Ross. It's TexAgs Radio. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 11 on The Zone.
Are you active duty military, a teacher, or first responder in the Brazos Valley? Listen close. Local wedding professionals are teaming up to share their love and appreciation for you through the 5th Annual American Heroes Dream Wedding Giveaway. How? An all-inclusive wedding. From invitations to the honeymoon and everything in between. Registration opens January 1st, 2023 at AmericanHeroesWedding.com. For more info and list of vendors, visit AmericanHeroesWedding.com or call 979-822-8368.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
Replacement windows, like other major purchase items, will at some time in the future need service, whether warranty or not. If you purchase your replacement windows from Intercon, you'll just phone our local number and we'll take care of your issue in a prompt and professional way. Every one of Intercon's personnel who answer the phone will know how to involve the right people to find a solution. With Intercon, you won't spend hours manipulating through an automated phone tree. If you consider purchasing your replacement windows from another window source, a good exercise would be to call the service department of the other company. You might come away thinking it'd be better to put your trust in a local company with a solid and well-established reputation. Ask your friends and colleagues about the customer experience they had with Intercon. We are proud of our track record and our commitment to long-term customer service. Trust Intercon, a family-owned local business, with all of your window needs.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
The college football bowl season on the Zone is brought to you by Hungry Howie's. You can listen into the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, Citrus, Cotton, and so much more, all on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, all on ESPN Radio. The bowl season, the most wonderful season of them all, on the Zone, is brought to you by Hungry Howie's, the home of the flavored crust.
All right, stop the presses. Stop the listening. I'm just kidding. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here for the Fan Show.
Fan Show.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I can't get high because I'm losing my voice here somehow.
Matt Browning's here. Kevin Ross, first time on the program. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, first time.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so used to seeing you.
I know, it's weird. I'm in Hunter's seat.
You better be
which
careful.
Which is really, I mean, like this is big shoes to fill right here.
Well, by the way, we're presented by Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. They don't just build homes; they build relationships. Learn more at girard-construction.com. All right, so you told me Kevin's going to be good.
I brought in a ringer. You know, I thought we need some entertainment, so. Here he is. I know. Look at him.
Jeez.
Like,
I know, right?
The pressure of that.
He's putting some pressure on him here.
Would you say I'm a 5-star, 4-star?
Yeah, you mean you're a high 4-star.
He told me you're more
5.
of an Anais Smith. You're like, you got rated a 3, but you kind of come up the ranks when you play. Like you become a 5-star when you start playing.
5-star.
So Kelly's out. Obviously Hunter enjoying the holidays, so we're mixing it up a little bit. Let's start things off with the easiest question of all, as they always are. What is on your mind, Matt?
Well, I will start this morning with something we all love to discuss and hate at the same time, is Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
our favorite coach. So Lane Kiffin yesterday, goodness gracious. So I loved, did you see Bryce Foster's tweet?
I did.
So Lane, so he literally has a clip of one of the Ole Miss kids going down faking an injury, right? Mm-hmm. And then Bryce Foster just goes hypocrite ? And puts that literally out there for the world to see. That is classic. But I mean, when you get shenanigans like that, you get the fight. I mean, everything stems from the head coach. It's all a cultural thing, and the culture at Ole Miss just is it is what it is. It just seems. I mean, they're sophomoric. Just like their head coach. They do stupid things, and he makes dumb comments, and he's just for a guy who grew up with privilege. I mean, his dad was a famous football coach. It's not like he grew up hard times. He just comes across as a spoiled brat, and just one of those. He's like every '80s bad guy, bully bad guy, from the movies.
But one thing, I like him and I dislike him. It's a both, because when he talks A&M, I'm like, this God. But I think he's funny to watch about other stuff, right?
He is.
Entertaining for college football. I like having a villain, a bad guy, even though Jimbo's been presented as a bad guy in college football. This guy, $9 million contract, lost 5 of 6 games, is mean, tells his players to act injured, but then gets mad at you if he thinks you're doing the same thing.
Yeah. I wasn't here for I know we had Roy on to talk about his Leach time and meeting Leach and all that, but like I used to feel the same way about Leach. I did. I couldn't stand Leach back at his Tech days. I thought he was funny and I enjoyed his shtick, Right. But that when I never forget, he said, I guess a pirate can beat a soldier, and he called us fake soldiers and all that. But then of course you grow to like Leach, and all Aggies have grown to really enjoy watching him over the years. But Lane Kiffin he doesn't have the same feel as it did with Leach. Something about him, I just don't like him. I don't like him. So.
Yep. Kevin?
What's funny is I agree with you. I love the guy and I hate him in the same sense. And when they ran him out of Tennessee, you remember that?
Yeah,
Everybody was lined up outside, right? Burned the place to the ground. Then he went to USC. Somehow he still gets contracts. Somehow he still makes millions. And again, he is kind of like the Leach. You need him. You want him. You don't necessarily want him on your team, but I'll tell you what's burning me, Dave.
Right.
I had a great day yesterday.
Okay.
Got to play some golf. It was beautiful. I'd call it mediocre golf because the some of the guys I played with.
Oh, it was a bad day for me. I did not play well yesterday.
It was bad. It was embarrassing almost.
It was really bad.
It
was really
go to the
bad.
watering hole afterwards, and you're just enjoying some camaraderie, and you look up on the TV, and you see a basketball school in a bowl game, and we're not.
Talking about Duke?
I'm talking about Kansas.
Oh, Kansas. Sorry. Oh, yeah.
But you know what? Add Duke
too.
to the list.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm over this bowl thing yet.
Yeah.
And what's funny is over the years, we've argued the validity of a bowl. Oh, we deserve this bowl or this bowl, the hierarchy of bowls.
Mm-hmm.
We're not even in the Cheetos toilet bowl this year. We're in nothing. We're watching bowl teams that I'm literally Googling, what is the name of this town that this person's in? And here we are with millions of dollars, return on investment, and we're watching other people enjoy bowls.
Arkansas versus Kansas, yeah.
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 And it's upsetting. And I don't think I'm over it yet.
Yeah, look, I'm over it in the fact of there's nothing I can do about it, right? Like, it's over, right? So now
That's
you've
done.
had time to hopefully mix in some new ingredients. But what I do like is that, again, and I use this every week, and I think it probably gets old for people, but you mix in a field goal more per game. What kind of different season do we have? You mix in a touchdown. I know that sounds like a lot, but this team scored so little. What was it, 22.5 points per game, whatever it was, something close to that. Yeah. You score closer to 30, which is not astronomical. You're a 9-win team this year.
Yeah, we were the Minnesota Vikings in college football, just reverse. You know, every game they've won by like less than a touchdown. Well, other than Florida and Mississippi State, every game we lost was by less than one score. So
let's go through this and just keep tab of what the record would be if they scored a field goal or a touchdown. All right. So Sam Houston, they won. They score another field goal against App. They tie that game because it's 17-17. I think they win at home.
At home, yeah.
Right. But so add a touchdown, they win. Right. Okay. Then Miami, they won. So right now we're talking about 3-0 just by adding a touchdown. Arkansas, you won. Now you're talking about 4-0.
Yeah.
Mississippi State probably lose that game regardless, but it got out of hand.
That was one play that turned the whole tide of that game.
4-1. Score another touchdown against Alabama, you win.
5-1.
Right. You score another touchdown against South Carolina, which you gave them a 17-point lead. Yeah. You lose 30-24. You
6-1.
6-1. You score a touchdown against Ole Miss. You lose 31-28. You score a touchdown.
7-1.
Okay. You score a touchdown against Florida. Everybody was out with the flu. Everybody's injured, right?
Yep.
You lose 41-24. I'll give Florida that
7-2.
Okay. You score a touchdown against Auburn, which you lost 13-10. You
8-2.
You did beat UMass, and you beat
9-2, 11-2, 10-2. Sorry.
Now that's adding a touchdown, which sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Do that same operation with just a field goal. Okay, you can call the Appalachian State a tie. You lose to Mississippi State. You add a field goal to Alabama, you still lose, right? Mm-hmm. You add a field goal to South Carolina, you lose. You add a field goal to Ole Miss, you tie. You add a field goal to Auburn, you tie. Yeah. So you're playing longer in those games. You add a field goal.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just that it's a razor's edge of what could have happened. Then again, you can also look at the flip side and say we almost lost. We almost didn't beat Arkansas.
Yep.
You know, and so. Or in Miami was less than a touchdown. They could have come back and they just scored a touchdown. We could have lost that game, and it would have been a completely different story too. So it's a weird dynamic and a weird feel. So.
But do you know you can say that about almost every team. You look at Alabama this year. They lost by 1 point to LSU. Okay, so, they had 2 losses this year. The game against Ole Miss, they won by 6 points, not even a full touchdown. Okay, yeah. The Tennessee game, they lose by 3. Right. The A&M game, they win by 4. So you're looking at even Alabama, great Alabama, who had a down year, 10-2. They also were a couple of away from being undefeated and also having a couple more losses.
That's true. I mean, but again, that's the difference.
The Texas game, by the way.
Yeah.
Texas and Alabama, 20-19.
That's the difference between a winning culture and I don't know. I don't want to say what we have, but.
Well, we have a culture right now. Mm-hmm. We have a culture.
What is that culture?
I don't know. And that's what's funny. Listening to y'all in the mornings and stuff, we still haven't really identified who we are. That's what's frustrating. And what's funny is, it's one possession away every time.
See, I think we do know who A&M has been. They're about to change that. The culture inside the locker room is a different conversation, right? Because when you bring in different types of personalities, you can always kind of mess with the chemicals in there, right? But from a Jimbo perspective, his personality has always been smash mouth football, right? Let's run the ball effectively. When you don't have an offensive line that can hold up, that goes out the window.
Yeah, and we said that since the beginning is everything to do with his offense has to have a good O-line. You got to run the ball, stay ahead of the chains, and it's play action football. It's pro style. I mean, you have to have a good offensive line. And I think the problem is that when we haven't had good offensive lines, we've had young offensive lines and experienced offense. We haven't adapted. We haven't changed. We still want to play the same style of offense that doesn't work. It worked great in 2020, though.
Let me ask you guys that. Go back to 2020. Remind me, because I don't remember. As good as they were winning games and grinding it out at the end of games, do you remember feeling like, can you get the freaking play call in? Do you remember feeling that way in 2020?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, but was it by design, right?
If you're up, I get it, right? But when you're playing catch up.
Yeah. But we love Jimbo for a lot of things. And one thing he does is that clock management. Now, we can argue the clock management all day. But at the end of it, if he turns it into a one-possession game, was that the overall game plan?
Yeah.
And if it was, it works as long as you can score on that last possession. And I think that's what's interesting about the game clock of Jimbo.
That's what App State did to us. That's how they beat us.
All right, we got about a minute or two left in the segment. Let's do these two quick questions before we hit a break. What are you pessimistic about entering 2023? What are you optimistic about? Kevin, you start us off.
I'm optimistic that it has to get better, right? I mean, the best thing about hitting the floor, so to speak, is you have to get up. I'm looking forward to, like everybody else, on the OC and what's happening with that. Very optimistic with coming out of this recruiting class. So everything is pointing towards positive. But like you say a lot, show it to me, prove it to me. That's the hesitation right now.
I think that's well said, Matt.
All right, so optimistic, I'm going to say, is our baseball team.
Oh, so you're even skipping football.
Yeah, he just did football. I agree. I mean, that's exact. I mean, from a football standpoint, I'm optimistic because I think we did end up with the three best players in the state in this recruiting class. And so even after a bad year, we still had a decent recruiting class. And the portal, I mean, everybody's still freaking out about the portal because we've really only got Tony Grimes so far, which is a huge pickup, by the way.
Yep.
But to go in and you still have to get through all the bowl games. The portal's going to change again. You got teams like Georgia and Ohio State and Michigan and all these teams who no one's transferred out yet. They're not. Why would they yet? You know, so you still got a lot of guys that are going to enter the portal that will be good players. So the portal's not done yet. So I mean, I'm still optimistic that we can get some good guys there. But from a football standpoint, that's what I'm optimistic about. Pessimistic, with this OC search, it seems like we may have missed on a few guys that we would have wanted. But it sounds like there still might be some guys out there.
Yep.
But right now, my optimism is leading towards baseball. This looks like it's going to be a good baseball season. Pessimistic about basketball. So that's where I am right now.
Yeah, look, by the way, baseball, that's the kind of conversation we want from A&M. Do we want them football? Do we want them to win a national championship? Absolutely. But the fact that we feel that baseball is going to be in the discussion for the College World Series every single year, that's the party we want to be invited. And eventually you break through.
We thought we were there with Jimbo.
We did. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back. I did something at the top of the show of who got best offensive player for A&M, which is hard to say with an offense that wasn't that good. I want to get your opinion on that. Defensive player, most improved player. Plus, we'll look at the college football playoffs. That and more here on TexAgs Radio.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Residents in Bryan, Wixon Valley, Curtin, and unincorporated areas of Brazos County can now text non-life-threatening emergencies to 979-361-3888. The Please Be Seated campaign urges drivers who spot another motorist riding around with unrestrained children in the vehicle to report it online at brazosvalleyinjuryprevention.tamu.edu. United Way of the Brazos Valley is seeking volunteer drivers for its Ride to Health service. Drive residents to healthcare appointments and pharmacies. Find more information at uwbv.org/volunteer. Submit your nonprofit event by email to news@wtaw.com. The bowl season on The Zone is brought to you by Hungry Howie's. The cotton, orange, sugar, rose, peach, fiesta, and more can all be heard on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Hi, this is Kelly Adams with Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. We love to help our clients take their vision and build it into reality. Our local team is hands-on and will work with you step by step, from planning and budgeting to choosing finishes and handing you the keys. All of our subcontractors are local, and most have been with us for 10 years or more. At Girard Construction, we don't just build homes, we build relationships. Let's build your dream home together. Visit us at girard-construction.com.
As a real estate agent in the Brazos Valley, we have a few questions for you. Do you desire to grow your business? Are you passionate about exceeding client expectations? Would you rather work with a local company backed by Compass, the largest independent brokerage in America? What are you waiting for? Lone Star Realty Group, a strong local brand with instant recognition, awaits your move. Contact William Sears at LoneStarBCS.com. Your success is just a click away. Lone Star Realty. Experience, integrity, results. An equal opportunity employer.
A half a ring of Cooper's world-famous regular or jalapeno sausage cooked to perfection cowboy style over mesquite coals, then paired with one of your favorite homemade Cooper sides, beans and barbecue sauce. That's what you get when you ask for Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue's Saw 'em Off Sausage Special, only $9.99. Experience the taste of locally Aggie-owned, nationally recognized Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue. Voted best barbecue in the Brazos Valley and proud supporter of Texas A&M Athletics.
Looking for the Zone prize rules? Would you like to apply for a job at the Zone? Or need a phone number or email for the Zone? Visit zone1150.com. Would you like to sign up for the Zone All Access newsletter? Looking for podcasts of TexAgs Radio, The Louie Bellina Show, or Chip Howard? Or would you like to see the Zone's daily schedule? Visit zone1150.com for more information, any questions, to contact us for everything and anything about the Zone. Visit zone1150.com.
Closing time.
So those watching on TV and YouTube, we always do this thing at the start of this segment because Jamie's not here. We do a quick picture to start the segment.
Photo,
so it looks awkward, doesn't it?
It always feels weird too.
It don't feel right.
It's like, we have to sit and smile, and it's weird, yeah.
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. The fan show presented by Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. So one thing about that before we move on. When I worked at ABC 13 and I did television, they want you to like to smile before, like when they're going to toss to you, like, let's go to David Nuño out at NRG Stadium. It feels so stupid, like. So I have RBF, resting Bravo face.
Yeah.
And because they'd come to me, I'm just like, I don't want to smile, dude.
Like, every time we walk in here, I always like, David's in a bad mood again.
Great mood.
Great mood.
Just don't like to smile before I talk to people. It's just weird.
It is weird. It's
just
strange.
Hi, how are you doing?
It is for real weird, yep.
All right. I'm going to answer this question for you since we're running out of time. You can tell me. Best offensive player, Devon Achane, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, easy. Best defensive player, and I got to give, who was it? Big Glow on the chat. It's like, you got to put McKinley Jackson in the conversation. Absolutely. Who is it for you guys?
I'm going to go with Chappelle.
Tariq Chappelle, okay.
I'll be honest with you. And the fact that we have a guy named Chappelle on our team and nobody celebrates it,
right?
It's just mind-boggling to me. Like, we have an opportunity for the Chappelle show, right?
Heck yeah.
And nobody has been playing on this, and the guy's legit. So I'm excited about Chappelle.
Did you ever watch the Chappelle Show?
Oh,
Chappelle
every single one of them. I've seen them all.
Should that not be played after a tackle?
Yeah,
at Kyle Field?
Chappelle
Show.
Chappelle Show. They're listening across the street. They'll take note.
I mean, that's the. Dude, the Chappelle Show was back when comedy when you could just get away with stuff.
You can't get away with any of that anymore.
Oh my gosh, he could. There's no way that stuff would fly today. Best defensive player in my mind was one of the best defensive players we've ever had. I really do feel. I've said this 100 times. Antonio Johnson.
Yep.
Antonio Johnson was one of the most talented, best. He's probably the best nickel, that pure nickel that we've ever had at A&M. Ever. I'm talking. I mean, again, you go back to Kevin Smith, Aaron Glenn. They were true corners. You go to, you go back to safeties, Armani Watts. Donovan Wilson.
Yep.
You can go back to Jackson Appel and Rich Cody for all I care.
Appel, that's old school.
Hey, I'll go old school.
Right.
I'll bring some old names, but that nickel role, I would truly say that Antonio Johnson is the greatest nickel we've ever, the player to stick in that nickel spot we've ever had at A&M.
Most improved player this year. Easy, right? It's Moose. Gotta be, right? Uh-oh.
I'm going to let you go first.
No, I'm going to let you go.
I'm going to say most improved player Moose, we knew kind of what Moose was having. I'm going to go with the guy that none of us really saw kind of showing up was and you could put McKinley Jackson in this spot too, by the way, but I'm not going to. I'm going to say Chris Russell.
Okay,
Chris Russell, he wasn't on the radar. Everybody thought, okay, it's going to be Edge Cooper, it's going to be Andre White, it's going to be these guys. Who's going to be? But Chris Russell really, really played well, coming from virtually unknown to being a pretty big contributor. I get it that he wasn't as good a player as Moose overall,
right?
But I'm thinking just from an improvement standpoint, I'd say Chris Russell.
Chris Russell.
Yeah, I don't know how you argue with that, but I don't know how you argue against Moose either.
Yeah.
I think he really came out when we needed it, and it was really a shock to me. I knew we knew he was good. We just hadn't really seen it. And so to see those flashes when it mattered.
I'll give you one just to think about.
Come on, bring it.
Cam Dewberry. We knew he had style points and it was going to be eventually good, but when they thrusted him into the offensive line to starting, it made a difference.
He did a good job. I wanted to, when you posed that question on the text, I was like, I'm going to stay away from freshmen just because, I want to see improve.
Sure.
But from a freshman standpoint, I felt like, Cam Dewberry did a phenomenal job. Wegman did a good job. Evan Stewart, they can go down the list of all these phenomenal freshmen. But next year is going to be really fun to see if you can see a jump in Moose from that, or a jump in Chris Russell. Can you imagine what some of these 5-star kids that we didn't see a lot of?
Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it.
All right, we got to call it a show right there. Gentlemen, Happy New Year. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, David.
Kevin, good job. We'll have you back, all right?
Yeah, very nice meeting you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. All right, when we come back, it'll be tomorrow, so we won't come back. And it'll be Nick Savage and Tomas Romo. Tomas is not here, but Nick is. Nick, what do you want to tell the people?
Well, we got some guests. We're going to talk a little bit of college football playoff. We're going to talk a little NFL. Tomas will do his book it. Yeah, we got some little basketball talk in there as well, so it should be a lot of fun. If we suck, please forgive us.
All right, Nick, good job, bro. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see you.
Happy New Year.
They'll see you mañana. I won't see you. Bye.
Hi, popular.